I think we're ready to roll, man. Little 10-ton after one. Ed's in Vegas right now. He just landed, sent me a text that he could see inside the window from his hotel room. So gonna be meeting up with Ed later on tonight. Hopefully everyone can hopefully sound's on. Everyone can hear and see everything. Rushing around today. But schedule for tonight is this. It's going to be short and sweet. I'm going to continue with the player profiles. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm going to have Wisco. He's in the Wisco 330. He's in the green room right now. We have not even, tested out his audio, so we're just going to wing this. I hate winging things, but we're just going to wing it just because of how the day went. And then, so that's going to focus a little on the Madison or the Milwaukee, that whole Wisconsin, Northern Illinois scene. And then I'm going to have, hopefully, if Bump John dials in, we'll go over a couple exciting sessions that we had over at Palms and Durango recently. And then, but a quick heads up, I was watching the Full of Chips podcast, so I want to give a shout out to those guys, Dice Degen and Obey Craps. This was, I think, their best episode, actually, because it got me to, I think they touched on some topics that are underrepresented or under-discussed. And let me see if I can bring this in. Specifically, let me see if I can add this to the stage right now. All right, check these two dudes out right now. Let me get rid of this too. If I can play this real quick. So I love that. I love that they're talking about comeback stories and relating it to none of that. They can hear that. I'm going to sum it up for you. I'll figure that out. I've never actually tried doing that, but going forward, these guys talked about on their podcast, they talked about being comeback parts of their session. Yeah, I know, Jay Bird. I'm gonna fix that. Either way, I'm gonna have these guys on next week to actually talk about what they were talking about, because this is a under discussed topic, and it's about comebacks during your session and how to go about doing it. Because I agree, and I also kind of disagree with some of what they're saying, but I think it's very worth talking about, especially, they said, well, discipline is part of the key in coming back from a session. And Dice Degen went on to say, which is something that I think we've all said, and which was, I wish I had that role at the beginning of the session. And I think we've all thought that. Like, I wish we've had, I say that all the time, and I'm really kind of a master of comebacks. But the key thing that I wanted to point out was that, I talk to Bump John about this all the time. It's almost like you're starting your comeback almost like the very beginning you play a session. It's as if you're getting in a boat, and the minute you are like, you start to play, you're getting into a boat and it's filling up with water. And you spend most of the time just trying to get water out of the boat. That's how I view craps. The whole beginning session or section of the session is really about bailing out water so you can just get a little ahead and get even. But I feel like most of the session is a comeback session in that regard. So it only gets into that major comeback when you've lost, half your bankroll, 3/4 of your bankroll, and then your strategies change. But I think discipline is just part of the entire process, not only a comeback. And I think your comebacks, skilled players can make comebacks all the time or most of the time. And I think you have to, coming back from a session is not just getting lucky all the time. So does it take discipline? Yes, I think it takes a different strategic approach depending on what's happening at the table, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into that with both these guys. I really want to have this discussion with them because it was my favorite episode that they had on this podcast so far. So Full of Chips podcast, Dice Degen, Obey Craps. Hopefully we can get you on next week. I'm looking forward to it. But now, we're going to talk to Wisco as part of my ongoing sort of player profiles of people I know that I want to talk to and that I want to learn about that area. So, yeah, mudslide. Well, you know what? Let me just get to this chat. Dice Dingleberries. Oh my God. This might be my new favorite handle. That might be my new favorite handle, whoever this is. My comeback usually needs a comeback. Yeah, that's true. It's very true. Mudslide. Depends on how good you and the other shooters are at creating the positive variant. Yep, true. I think this will be an interesting discussion for sure on comebacks because I feel like it's part of every session. How often do you start a session and you're up the entire time? I don't know. I mean, if you are, that's a great story. Let's go. I'm going to bring Wisco on. Let's test this out. Yo, Wisco.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, man. I can hear you.
Good. It worked.
Oh, nice, man. I like your backdrop, and I like that hoodie you got on, man. It's a good color, like powder blue.
Yeah, little Catalina Island.
Oh, dude, I've been to Catalina. Have you been there?
Yep, that's where I got the sweatshirt.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's a neat place.
Yeah, I went scuba diving over there, believe it or not. I did not like scuba diving over there. I don't like the water, man.
Well, that's kind of bad to be on an island, I guess, then.
Yeah. But it was just something to do when you move to California. You take a boat out to Catalina Island. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's how I got there, was on a cruise ship that went out of Long Island or whatever.
Oh, Long Beach?
Long Beach.
Long Beach.
Yeah. Yep.
Wisco, dude, glad to have you on, man.
Glad to be on.
Yeah. Listen, man, I got a lot of stuff to talk about. So just to briefly introduce you, your main area that you hail from Madison, Wisconsin.
Correct.
And I've met you. The first time I met you was with Moonshine when you guys were out. We met up at Horseshoe, and I don't know, maybe we actually went to Palms that same night. I'm not quite sure.
If it wasn't that same night, it was definitely it was definitely on that trip.
Yeah, it was another night. It was cool.
Time there, so
yeah, and so I really wanted just to hear a little bit, and then I can ask you, just a few questions. I mean, you're a veteran player, in my opinion. You've been playing for a long time, and you definitely play. Like, you are a live player out there in your era. You're not just, I come out and play, 3 times a year.
Yeah, it's not. That's how I started out. Was really the way I started out was a tradition with my dad and godfather. We would go out on Black Friday, even when I was 18, because at that time I could go down to Dubuque and play craps down there, and 18 was okay. And then and then in the last couple of years, I started getting, well, last pre-COVID, I started getting into it where I was taking more trips to Vegas, and really liked it. And then a couple of years ago, I got really into it, and haven't really looked back since.
What do you mean a couple years ago? Like what this, so after COVID is when you got
Yeah,
into
so
it?
I mean, I can't remember. It was, so it probably would have been around 2023, I think. I had gotten pretty sick with diabetes, and I was spending a lot of time on the iPad and on YouTube, and all of a sudden, craps started popping up, and more craps and more craps, and so then that's when I found out that there was a rabbit hole you could go down on craps YouTube, and so that's how I really started getting into it. And then once I found that, I'm like, I got to get back into this and be a little bit more serious about it.
Wisco, where'd you go? Where'd you go for that first time? Where'd you play? Was it in your area or
The first time I ever played craps?
yeah?
So the first time I ever played was in Dubuque, in Iowa, because they didn't have craps in Wisconsin. Probably for like 10 years later, they finally got craps in Wisconsin, and then on my 21st birthday, or right after my 21st birthday, my dad and godfather took me out to Las Vegas for the first time. So that was 2001, a month after 9/11. And
Oh damn, dude!
I've never looked back since. I've been just kind of obsessed with Vegas just as a whole since then. But from the architecture to the shows and the gambling that you can do, it's my place to go for sure.
So Wisco, so dude, that's a long time. That's a couple decades then. So you've been playing craps for that long.
Yep. It wasn't until
nice.
Honestly, it wasn't until 2023 that I realized that there was a different way to play, though. That whole time, I was a pass line and odds and come better, because I didn't know any different. And in fact, I didn't even know, and I don't mind admitting to it, because I think a lot of newer players are like this. But I didn't even know that you didn't need a pass line to play.
Right.
And now, after, well, I learned that before I got into YouTube, the YouTube rabbit hole. But I really started gaining momentum on different ways to play, to 2023 and after.
So Wisco, so essentially was it like 20 years that you were just kind of just playing it more so recreationally as
Yep.
like, I'm just going to go and play, and this is how I know how to play, which
Yep.
is not really the
It wasn't
real basic.
Yeah, it wasn't
basics.
serious. I had no idea that dice setting was a thing at the time. Like I said, I didn't know that you could just do place bets or all this other ways you could play. And then once I started going to Vegas a little bit more, then that's when I started to learn a little bit more. And then it just blew up once I found YouTube, craps on YouTube. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I'm not sure. But
no, it's debatable. But I think ultimately it's a good thing, because everyone has that, YouTube dive into craps, because they're always looking for. They're trying to figure it. There's not enough content out there to actually teach you.
Yeah,
how I was learning, there was nothing, dude. There was nothing. You're just you're hoping.
It's either you listen to the dealers, which of course, what are they going to give you? For the most part, they're going to give you pass line and odds, or 6 and 8, and that's it. Not that that's a terrible way to play, but that's definitely not the way I play.
It's fun. Wisco, it's funny, man, because you're right. You end up pre-COVID, you were most of the time you're asking or looking at what the dealers, which I call NPCs, you're looking at them as like these holders of all the keys to craps, when in fact they're not. In my opinion, they're the people you just take it with a grain of salt. They have one way that they play. They're very robotic. They're trained a certain way, and they're not necessarily, they're dealers. They're not necessarily players. But I did the same thing. I would ask a dealer, hey, and then you think that what they're telling you is like these pearls of wisdom when it's not. It's actually not. It's not at all pearls of wisdom. It's just that's how they're trained to play. That's how they see their progressions. So, what were the first sites that you were looking at? Because we can all relate to this when you were first checking things out on YouTube.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm pretty sure the first thing I ran across was Casino Quest. In all honesty,
Yeah.
because COVID is when they were really starting to try to hit big because they needed to in order to survive. And then the YouTube algorithm gets you for sure. And once you start watching something, and I binged it at the time because I needed something to do, and then the floodgates opened. Really, and that's when I found like Texas Crap Shooters, Alfredo, and numerous other Whalen's Craps channel, and all these other channels. You got to be careful, of course, what you watch and pay attention to, because you can get burned. Which I fully admit that I probably did it. When I first started playing heavily after getting into the community. I probably was too willing to just take a strategy that I saw, somebody playing online and oh, that worked. So it should, work at the, casino when I go play. And of course it doesn't work that way.
Wisco, when you were watching all this stuff on YouTube, were you then, what did it coincide when after a certain amount of YouTube that you were like, okay, I'm going to buy a practice rig. I've got pictures that I want to show of because now you have a table, like you're at that level where we all get to.
It was quick. It was, once I found the community and I found, holy cow, dice setting is a thing. And there's people that actually have, their own rigs. It was within 2 months that I was essentially begging my wife to let me have a table. So I was searching, high and low for tables between Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, and then the ones that you find on Amazon, which a lot of people in the community have. But I finally convinced her that if I could have a 10-footer and put it in the basement, then it would be okay. And then so the search was on for that. And
nice. How much money did it take for that deal to get worked out with your wife?
Well, it was a couple of weeks of me being pretty grumpy, I think.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to be a nicer person.
She actually told me, this was probably a few months ago, or maybe 6 months ago. She said, I was sure that you were going to do it for a little while, and then that would be it. It was just going to be a thing. Well, no, I mean, I've taken the last couple of months off, but I practice usually no less than an hour a night. On my own table, partially because I don't sleep ever, and it's it's something for me to do. But
yeah, man.
Yeah, once you have that table, man, it's hard to pry yourself away.
Well, actually, once you play craps and it's sort of it gets in your brain, it's almost like in some ways it's like a sick disease. For me, it was very much like chess, dude. I've told this to Ed on a podcast. When I first started playing chess, I would think about it so much that one time when I was in my kitchen arguing with my girlfriend, I was seeing chess moves. Literally, I was seeing them in midair while I was arguing with her, right? The same thing with craps. I can't stop thinking about it, or thinking about when I was working on betting progressions and how to run this, or what would be the quickest way for me to get up to this. How quickly can I get my 4 and 10? Like, what do I need to start with in order for me to get it up to, a grand? Or how do I get to table max? What's the quickest way? And is it doable realistically? That in a realistic, we all say, oh yeah, we can get to table max. Lot, way harder, than people realize.
It is, but once you've done it, it's like G-Dub just said, it's kind of like heroin. It's, I mean, that dopamine, there is honestly no better feeling, at least in my eyes, is, hitting an 8, or especially maybe a hard 8 where you have a parlayed up and you have $3,000 on it, which I've done plenty, luckily. We'll get into Rockford in a little bit here, but
Yeah.
once I started playing there, I mean, there's essentially no feeling like it. It's just
Oh, dude.
it keeps you coming back. It's almost, I equate it to teeing off on the 18th hole. You've had a crappy round, and then you just bomb one, down the fairway on the 18th hole, and you're like, awesome, I can do this, and you're drawn right back in. So you can have a bad round of craps, but you want that feeling again, and so you're brought right back into it. There's just so many parallels between craps and golf, honestly, in my mind. It's pretty crazy from strategy to being a shooter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's craps has so many cool overlays. For me, it was always chess. I've overlaid poker many times, but I still think football is one of the best analogies for me, and how I like see the game sort of overlap with the structure of those games. But Wisco, listen, man, I'm gonna add this picture. Tell me what I'm looking at right now. What is that? What is that, and when was that?
Well, when I first found YouTube, and then I ordered some dice off of Amazon, and I'm like, yeah, I want to do this shooting thing. And I was like, what can I do? And I saw my shuffleboard table sitting in my basement. I'm like, that seems like a hard surface that I could shoot on, instead of just trying to shoot into a couch. And then I'm like, because it actually acts as a bowling, the shuffleboard acts as a bowling board too, which comes with this like U-shaped black, piece behind it, which you can just see behind sort of behind the egg crate foam there.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm going to set that up. And then I was like, well, how can I replicate the, kind of the alligator wall without having alligator, material? I'm like, I think in the top of one of my poker chipsets.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
There's egg crate type foam. And so I pulled that out, and that's what I was, and that's what I was shooting. Awesome. That's what I was shooting into. And I used that. I used the blanket. Well, what I didn't realize, once I finally pulled all that apart, I dinged up my shuffleboard table pretty bad. It's got a lot of little nicks in it from the dice sitting, and even with the blanket on there that I basically used for felt.
Dude, that's a good way. Go gadget, man. I like that. That is a good home improv. I always had trouble doing that. And that is the main reason that I ended up focusing on betting for years and years and years and years. And I went into shooting after, all betting and only betting, because my living situation never allowed anything like this. But this would have been good because the height looks pretty comparable.
Yeah, it was pretty close. I think that, and then the length wasn't too bad. I think that, if I remember right, is like a 10-foot shuffleboard table. So yeah, I was, I remember I was getting pretty good at it, going on that. I'm like, I'm going to go try this at my quote unquote local, which is an hour away.
Yeah.
And so that was, I remember going up there for the first time, and their table was a trampoline, so you can't even keep the dice on the table. So it wasn't a really good comparison, but like that right there was enough to give me confidence that, I'm gonna try this in the actual casino.
Yeah. No, that's cool, dude. I'm gonna show some pics of what you have now. All right. Which is, you got, dude, the custom felt, the Wisco 330. I like that. It's classy, of course.
Yes. Yeah. So that's my table. It was made. I got the parts for that from the same person that you got yours from.
Table maker?
Yeah, table maker. Yep. Heavy.
Shout out table maker.
Yeah, Heavy put me in contact with him, and because he got into this during COVID. That's kind of how he started making. Yeah, you're right, Jeremy.
Is it though? I kind of just glossed over the fact that it was a shuffleboard table. Wisco, I don't know anyone. I don't think I've ever known anyone that has a shuffleboard
Well, there's a
Table.
I don't really play shuffleboard, but there's a story behind that. I needed it to stage one of my houses during a parade of homes, but um, well, anyway, Heavy got me in contact with Table Maker, and I called
Yeah.
him. I called him from the Whirlpool in Florida. Actually, I was on vacation, and we kind of went back and forth with length, and
Yeah.
he had the ends that he still had stocked, that he had made, during COVID.
Yeah.
And then so all he had to do was make the center part, and then he
Oh,
shipped
cool,
it out to
man.
me. He
Yeah.
shipped it out to me, and it showed up at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, in my garage, and on a pallet full of parts, different parts. And by 5 o'clock that night, I had it all unpackaged, all stained, and ready to move down to my basement the next day. It was I wasn't going to wait. I got started on that right away, and then of course it was the hard part was deciding, okay, what am I going to put underneath? And
Yeah.
I was really unhappy with what the bounce that it had to begin with. So within 2 days, I finally decided I just put this thing together, but I pulled it apart and then pulled half of it back and
Yeah.
cut out one of the layers that I had underneath there. So I still have one really bouncy end, and then one end that's pretty solid. And my local is kind of in between those two, the casino I go to most.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Would you have one side that this side reminds me of palms. This side
Yeah.
reminds me of
So
so and
so
so.
my hard end reminds me of palms.
Mm-hmm.
And then my soft end, my bouncy end,
Yeah.
kind of reminds me more of like an Ario would.
Oh, nice. Nice. Or yeah, which would be Venetian too, and Palazzo.
Yeah,
Dude, let's get there.
I've
Full
never played
shot
there, but
Wisco in action. I like that, dude. Listen, is stick left is your primary shot or primary
yep,
position, isn't it?
yep. And because my table is only 10 foot long, I actually shoot from as far back on the table as I can get, which puts me basically right at stick one and a
Yeah.
half for my local casino, or
Yeah.
most casinos.
Yeah. Wisco, really quick, I'm just going to get to this comment really here because I want to get back to this. We will talk about this from Big E 5188. Let me hear y'all's take. What you get on a bad run mentally. That shit eats you up and messes with the enjoyment. How do you stay positive minded? Dude, that's a great comment. And you and I are going to talk about this because we've talked about this before, you and I, because this game can screw with your mind big time, especially
Yep.
after losses. But we're going to get to that, Big E. Wisco, this is a cool pick.
Yeah, I was trying to get my drop correct, and so I think it was actually Ed, something that he did, or showed, with a broom handle or something like that, and so I just had a level in my basement, and I just used that instead.
Level with me. Is that level?
It is level. Yep. It's hard to see the bubble in there, but it is level.
That's awesome, dude. So okay, are you throwing? So what height is that? I mean, do you now try to keep your height on your toss? Always, is that like your standard?
No,
height?
I changed it. So my goal is with my shot now is to not be that high above the table, that far down. They should already, for my shot, they should already be coming down by the time it would have reached that level. I have a very high spin rate shot. It's something that I've always, from the day I started, it's something that I've always had. And I fought it and fought it and fought it. And finally, I'm just like, never mind. I don't know how to change this. And so I just go with it and I use it, the best of my ability. So, yeah, I mean, people see my shot and it looks like a golf ball, the backspin on a golf ball. It's pretty wicked, but it's what I've gotten used to, and it's what I expect now.
Listen, I noticed that you're throwing a 2 different colored dice. So,
yep.
and we'll get to this on who your main person in your crew is when you come out to Vegas, which would be Moonshine. And Moonshine is someone that influenced me in, or you know what? Maybe it was just I was lazy, but I now
No,
track my left eye. Like,
yeah, it's really
and I
hard.
shoot now with the same color, so I can actually track my left eye just like it is in the, you know, when I'm shooting live. But I see you with two. Do you ever try that? Because I mean, he was an influence on me as far as just to get me to do that.
Yeah, he's a wizard at it. I don't know how he does it. I can't do it. Um, so if I'm really trying to pay attention to what I'm doing when I'm practicing, I will always throw with two different color dice because I can't track it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I have it's a lack of focus or what it might be. But
Well,
I always
dude,
practice with two dice unless I'm just shooting to make sure that my mechanicas are okay and my form's okay, and I'm working along, betting along with that. But if I'm really trying to, figure
yeah,
out what dice set I should be on, then
yeah.
I'm always using two color dice.
Well, Wisco, I found that when I shoot from stick left one, I have a very like my toss is very slow, deliberate. It was how I described it. I described it. It's like Ed has this, Moonshine has this. It's like a very heavy. It's almost like a slow motion toss.
It's very
And
deliberate.
yeah, and ever since that, when Moonshine was like, well, track, you can just, I watch it now as it's coming out of my hand. I actually feel like that's made my stick left one shot better when I
It probably
focus.
does because it makes your eyes focus on something rather than letting your eyes wander, which you'll always have a better shot, landing zone shot if you're able to focus on one thing
Yeah.
on the table, and if that's the dice, then and that's what works for you, then that's awesome.
Hey, Wisco, shout out to Dice Dingleberries. He got that joke that I slipped in there about level with me.
Level, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I just need the little recognition. Thank you, Dice Dingleberries. And that handle, dude. That
That's
handle.
crazy.
It's becoming an all-time classic fast. All right, dude. So as far as the getting back to practice, so you focused on, which I feel like most people do, you focused on your shooting first. Then when was it that you started focusing in or paying attention to betting, and how did that go? Because betting is unfortunately, in my opinion, tied into YouTube in a very detrimental way.
It can be, and I actually focused on them. I focused on them kind of simultaneously, which wasn't the right thing to do either. I would say you did it right, in my opinion. You focused on your betting, because you were kind of forced to. But you're not always going to have the dice in your hand, and even when you do, you can't always trust yourself. So you need to know how to bet. And something like Alfredo talks about all the time is you got to know how to bet before you shoot, because there's just so many variables in shooting that you need to be able to fall back on something. My focus on betting though was more okay, here's these strategies that I'm seeing on YouTube, and I would play around with them, and now I don't use any of them for the most part. I just kind of mix and match things how I wanted to. Every once in a while I'll try something different out, but yeah, to answer your question, mine was more simultaneous than anything, except for when I started doing my books, my bone tracker books. Then I didn't worry about betting at all because I didn't want anything to distract from that. But
no, that's separate. And a lot of times I feel like when you're doing a book or anything like that, you're focused on that, and that's the task at hand. But your main betting style, I mean, that's kind of in your handle, right? Am I correct or not? Like, how do you go in there with how would you define your playing style? And again, I'm going to tie this back into YouTube because I really feel like, again, my opinion, YouTube is very detrimental to beginning players, specifically when it comes to betting, and again, my opinion is that 99% of players learning the game don't focus on betting, which I think is really backwards. I really think you should understand betting first. I mean, or at the same time, but most people, obviously, it's, the allure of shooting is there. I mean, it's that physical part of it, but some people say if you can't shoot, you can't win. That was
the 330 is exactly what it sounds like. That was my favorite bet when I first started out. Not that I was willing to start off at that when I first started out, when I was taking this seriously, because I didn't. But that was my ultimate goal, was to get to that level. Because getting handed.
What do you mean? Wait, define that level for people that might not know. What do you mean? What level?
So 330 inside is 3 green units, on the inside. So you got 75, 90, 90, 75.
Yeah, I never play that. That's great. That's interesting.
And each one of those pays 105. So
right,
you're getting handed a black chip, and something that I learned from Heavy actually was collect that black chip and toss the dealers your the $5. And so I do that quite regularly when I'm at that level at my local casino. But no, I mean, I was more, when I first got serious about this and started tossing and that, I was more of a 110 kind of inside. But then I bumped up fairly fast from there. Again, I think it's more of a dopamine thing than anything. Once you start playing bigger, it's pretty difficult, in all honesty, being honest, to go back down and play smaller. But you also have to recognize, there needs to be a time when you have to do that. It's either go that route or get off the table because things aren't going right. But I'm aggressive. I don't mind starting out a little bit higher and then, trying to get 2 hits, and then depending on how I am, where I am with my rec or how I'm feeling, I'll either leave it out there at that point in time or I'll regress. But then if I regress, I'm going aggressive after that.
So, okay. So Wisco, you're starting at that level.
Now, yeah. So now that's a pretty common, start for me, that or 220 inside.
I mean, the 330 is, I mean, listen, man, that is super aggressive. I've never actually tried that. If I have done anything, it's going to be a 220 inside. Shout out 220 inside. Solid handle, right? Solid.
Yeah, 330. I mean, 330 works out pretty well because you can, if you can get 2 hits, and I don't really recommend this just because dealers, if you're not with good dealers, it's very difficult to do. But regressing after those 2 hits to 204 across is pretty killer. So I think it's 204. Yeah.
That's cool, Wisco. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of anything that is across all, bringing everything down. I'm more single unit numbers, but I love the 2 hits. And I actually love the single hit because you are taking a black chip in. So even after a single hit on one of those numbers, I might bring that down again, depending on where we are in the rack. That's a whole nother story.
Yep.
But suffice to say, that's where you start. 330 inside would be, that's your play.
Yep. Like I said, it ranges between 220 and 330, depending on what I'm doing. Yep.
Okay. Now, getting into like your reductions, okay, at what point are you, in your mind, are you, okay, I started the session. Let's say I'm down after the first 330. Do you just keep running it back over and over again until you catch a roll? Or are you adjusting your betting based on what's happened? Because I started out the show talking about what those guys at Full of Chips podcast said, a comeback story.
Yep.
And every session has one. I just think your craps is a comeback story. Usually.
Yeah, we've talked about a bunch, there's honestly nothing worse than, getting to a craps table. And this is just how it seems to work out a lot of the times is you get to a craps table and you're instantly down, right? And then it's a fight. I'm pretty stubborn, which is not the best for a craps player.
Yeah.
And I'll keep fighting it, and I'll keep putting that much out there, thinking that the big roll is eventually going to happen, or even a decent roll is going to happen.
But Wisco, are you doing that on obviously yourself? But are you doing that on other shooters? On let's say other shooters, because we'll get to where you go play, or are you just waiting, or are you just going to bet this
So
on?
I don't usually go that big on other players. I play, locally. I play along Fuzzy. Some of you might see him in the community. And if he's shooting or I'm shooting, I will definitely go out there with that. But I will scale it back a little bit, going around the table, because it can get really painful really quick going around our local, and trying to find a roll. So I honestly, I still go out too big for randoms, if you will.
Yeah.
But that's my stubbornness, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, stubbornness will get you, will get you in trouble. And especially being like rigid with your whatever your systems and your strategies and all of that stuff. But Wisco, before I want to talk about some other more mental aspects of the game with you, but since you're representing that area of right around Madison, and which is, I mean, you kind of have to bring in Northern Illinois, no matter what. When you talk about Madison, it's funny because when I would tour, Madison and Chicago were always like Milwaukee, Madison, Chicago were always like in that same sort of tour route.
Yep.
And just because it's such a, it's so quick to get to Chicago from Madison. Now, where are you usually? Your home casino is in Madison?
So we don't have any casinos in Madison. All the casinos I go to are almost exactly an hour away. They're almost all, I mean, right within minutes of each other as far as, time wise. They're all different directions. So when I first started, I started out at it's a Indian casino, Ho Chunk it's called, in Wisconsin Dells. They have terrible rules. So if I, once I started really playing and getting serious about it, that just couldn't be a place that I could go play. They have a 200 max bet on box numbers. Well, I'm at 200, within, a couple of hits, and then there's nowhere you can go from there. So then I started going to Milwaukee, Potawatomi, that's all we have in Wisconsin is Indian run casinos. And that one was okay. They just renovated it, put a bunch of money into it. It was nice. The drive stunk, driving to downtown Milwaukee essentially. And then 2 Labor Days ago, they opened a Hard Rock in Rockford, which is just a easy, 1 hour drive down an interstate for me. And so that's become my home casino at this point in time. And it works out pretty well because I'm able to meet people that come up from, Illinois. It's convenient. It's convenient for that.
Yeah.
That's my true home casino now is Hard Rock in Rockford. They are building one 15 minutes closer to me, actually in Wisconsin. It's also by the Ho Chunk. However, if they keep the same rules that they have in Wisconsin Dells no more, and they're going to get crushed by Hard Rock because they won't be able to compete, and I won't be going there. But if they have a better table and better rules, then I'll definitely consider going there because it is 15 minutes shorter for me.
So everyone talks about going down like Joliet. So what is that all about? And
so when I first started getting big into this and became friends with Alfredo, he makes trips up to Chicago, Joliet from time to time, and we would a group of us would get together, a lot of Illinois players, and he would come up from Texas.
So like what Illinois players? Like who, that would be a basic sort of traveling crew out there?
So So Dice Grinders, Dice Grinders Arnell. He runs LFC on Wednesday nights.
You know,
He's
a lot of these guys I know of by name. I've never met personally, so I know like
yeah, a lot of them.
Dice
A lot of
Grinders.
these you won't have met.
Shout
Craftsmaster
out
Journey. Yeah,
Craftsmaster
he
Journey with the good
that's
music.
right. That's where I met him. He's from Wisconsin. He's from the Green Bay area. Up north
Appleton,
like,
dude, right?
yeah, and then
Packer fan, man.
so then there Giuseppe, you see him on LFC every once in a while.
Who'd you say, Giuseppe?
Giuseppe, yep.
Hey, Paisan.
Yeah,
Paisan,
yeah.
Giuseppe.
Go to his stores. He has pizza and meatballs.
Oh, Paisan. I gotta meet this guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. And then Fuzzy, I already mentioned. And then there's a few other guys
Fuzzy, man.
who aren't
Nice.
part of like the YouTube kind of world. Rich, and then Sith Lord Espy, Corey. He's another big player in that group as well. So we have fun. However, you learn pretty quick. That group play.
Is Alfredo's not from around there. He's Texas, right?
he comes up from Texas.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
man.
What I found is you either get crushed in group play or you like smack it in group play. Group play is very, very difficult. Not something I would ever suggest someone new starting out to do. You have to have a lot of willpower, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was group play. So we'd go down there and we would stay, and a lot of times it was done around a multiplier because it's a Caesar's property.
Yeah.
So we would play there, and then there's a couple other casinos around that area that we could travel to. But those are the main ones that I play, and then Elgin, which is kind of in between Rockford and Joliet for me. So it's a little bit closer, and that's another Caesar's property that Illinois has.
Yeah. Dude, check this out, man. Finally figured out how to get this map up there. Yep.
Yeah, there's
Wisco,
yeah, you can see there's Potawatomi up there.
See Grand Rapids though, right here?
Yep.
That's where I went to high school, man.
Sorry.
That's where I went to senior year in high school. But okay, so this is Ho Chunk, right? Yep.
So it's up in Wisconsin Dells, and then the one that you were just pointing at is it. Technically, there is a casino in Madison, but it's just a slot. It's just a slot. Copy
that. So for you to get down to Joliet, I mean, which is
it's a hike. Well, it's like 2.5 hours for me to get down there.
I mean that's getting into commitment territory.
Rockford is literally an hour away, so it's an easy drive.
Yeah, and so what about this?
So that's Potawatomi. That's in Milwaukee. That's downtown Milwaukee, or close to downtown Milwaukee.
You go there a lot?
I don't, not anymore. Before Hard Rock opened their permanent casino, that's where I was going. But I like to drive to Rockford much better. And there's a couple other rules that are better in Rockford than there is in Milwaukee. Like all the casinos within an hour from me in Wisconsin, they don't even have hop bets, so that's not an option. Potawatomi is really interesting. Not that I play the don't very much, but they don't have a don't pass line. They actually it's
like a crapless.
Well, no, you can still play it. It's just common with the don't come box.
Yeah.
So you have to make it. I mean, it becomes extremely obvious that you're playing the don't, because you essentially, if you're far enough away, you have to have the dealer place it for you instead of it just being right out in front of you. It's pretty crazy, but that's how I ended up in Rockford. Is newer casino, better rules, easier drive for me.
So out of all these casinos, then which would be the closest to a more so? Are there regional differences? An overall regional difference? Like, which one would be the most Vegas-like casino? Like, if I was coming to town, I'd be like, okay, Wisco, where are we going? And which is gonna closely resemble what we've got in Vegas?
Really, I mean, in all honesty, not any of them.
Really?
Um,
That's why? What's the closest one?
well, part of it, I mean, part of it comes down to, who's playing at the table too. Um, I mean, it's just filled with with locals. All of them are, no matter where you go. And that makes it, even though now I'm essentially a local, I'm there enough. But I mean, it's the constant buying in. It's almost like the $5, even though they're not $5 tables. It's almost like the $5 table at Palms, where you
Oh
got
man,
people buying
dude,
it for $26 all in ones.
you're gonna make me do this, huh?
Think so I think Rockford, I'd say
Yeah,
Rockford is it's not too much different than, I would say, the Palms. I mean, the tables are fairly similar.
yeah. Hey, Crab's Master Journey chiming in, man. I disagree, Ben. All of
Mhm.
them in Wisconsin resemble Vegas, other than the locals. All right, you know what? Little state pride, hometown pride from yeah.
Yeah,
I
I mean, I
like it.
think the reason that I say that is because of, and most people I think have this experience when you're outside of Vegas, is the local effect. Um,
Right. Oh,
the
okay. Which
the
one
fair.
is which one is going to be immune? Which one will have the most tables, the most possibility of not playing at a very packed, low limit table?
None of them really. I mean, they're not, like Joe said, I think before. The tables are packed at Potawatomi, for instance.
Yeah.
Unless you go right when they open one of the tables up at 8 o'clock, and then in the morning, it might not be so bad. Um, I think Rockford, if they could start getting more dealers, would be better, because they have the possibility of having three tables open, which
Yeah.
um, which is
Yeah.
better than even like Joliet, for instance, who has two tables, and sometimes they open the other one, and sometimes they don't.
Wisco, I love that name of that city though. Right? Joliet.
Joliet, yeah,
I've always loved that, man. Romeo and Joliet. I've
and
always loved that name.
it's the home of the Blues Brothers, I believe.
Is it? Oh my God, I should know that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
that's cool.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so
All right, so Rockford then is going to be the most. I mean, Craps Master Journey will disagree with this, but the most Vegas like, at least the
if
opportunity to get an empty table or a,
if they again, it's so strange how you could go on one Monday and it would be empty, and then the next Monday it's packed. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to it. However, if they do have two tables open, then usually one of them has plenty of room on it. And luckily they've been opening the second one for $25 when they do open it, which
yeah.
is kind of nice. I like that it keeps a few more people out of the off that table. But
Dude, little moonshine Melvin chiming in here. I'll read this. If we're giving shout outs, I want to give a shout out to Alfredo. Wisco and I have both learned so much from him. Alfredo has been such a great asset to the community. Hey man, shout out Alfredo. I'll get Alfredo on here one time. One time for
yeah,
Alfredo for sure. I'll get a lot of
he's
people on this thing, man.
he,
I'm looking forward to these. This is interesting, man. Plus, if there's anyone that that's in this area that wants to connect with Wisco or Craftsmaster Journey, I mean, maybe you're all connected, but if there is someone, because I know that's happened, I've been able to connect some people up in Seattle, with Double Deuce and John, and it's great. It's just connecting, man. Let me know.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
Moonshine's my main playing partner.
Yeah, but that's
we
Vegas,
we
right?
yep, yeah, we try to, that's, we meet up out in Vegas, and yeah, we have a good time out there.
Um, yes, Michael. I wonder if you say this name Herbert or Abear. You could say it Abear. Michael Abear. 7107. Tears, are you in Vegas? Yes. For sure. Right here. Oh, Wisco, this is not a green screen. Someone thought this was a green screen.
No, that's the real deal out 10 tons window. Yeah, I can attest.
This is this shot that everyone like that's using in their thumbnails for Vegas. This is actually my window, which you see every Vegas shot like on these thumbnails on YouTube, and it's literally this view. So yeah, man.
Yeah, you're right in the thick of it. It's pretty awesome.
In it, man. Deep in it. Speaking of deep in it, dude, how are you dealing your biggest leak, and as far as a craps player, and with that, how are you dealing with losses, which is I think the thing that I'm always fascinated with and struggle with, it's my biggest is, I know what my biggest leak is, which leads to the feeling of like these horrible feelings, especially after a loss, like especially after a big loss. I have no problems discussing losses. And then you just try to limit them. But I mean, there's some of the worst feelings ever, as a craps player is losing. And then what you do to sort of get your mind back in the game. I mean,
Yeah,
what
man,
would you say? So what's your biggest leak, Wisco? And then how are you dealing with losses?
So by far my biggest leak, well, actually I have two of them. Number one is the ATS. I can't seem to stay off the ATS, which, in playing a couple hours and going around the table and you're playing even 5-5-5 on everybody, that adds up darn quick. But and it's probably the same for a lot of players, but my biggest, leak in craps is, a combination of stubbornness.
Yeah.
And going on tilt, honestly. And I, as much as you would like to say that, it's controlled, when I go on tilt, I just can't, like at some point in time, I just lose it. I'm like, I got to try something to, try to claw this back. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work. Right. So then you're stuck even further than you were before. And, that's where my hour drive home gets really interesting, because there's a lot of replay that goes on in my mind. I mean, you do it with Bump John, for instance. I'm doing it to myself, and having a conversation with myself on the way home. Like, how did you get there? Why did you get there? The answer is almost always the same.
Are you drinking when you play, Wisco?
No,
do you drink
I don't drink at all.
No, that's probably good, right? I think, yeah, that's probably a good thing. Yeah,
drinking, and you guys have talked about it some, but drinking and craps, especially craps, does not go well, because it's hard enough to keep money off the table on a craps table and if you get too loose, I got some stories about moonshine and getting loose at 3:00 in the morning at Paris and his dealer tips, which get pretty funny.
But Wisco, when drinking, I would always, it lowers your, obviously when I did drink and play, I usually, more often than not, I looking back on it, I can appreciate the bravado that I had and the found aggression of going for it. It was just so mistimed. I've just developed that aggression now without drinking, and I think you have to time it out. But a lot of that was like I was a little too quick to throw a Hail Mary bomb when I had like on tequila number 5, and I was down, and then all of a sudden you punted, and then you feel even worse because you're.
Yeah, I don't. You can be down $3,000, for instance, and say you got $500 left in your your bankroll for the day. I mean, how many times out of 10 are you going to put that 500 out into play and get back to even remotely close to even? I mean, it's just a rarity. You said it before. This game is 100% about timing. And it's either you time it right or you don't time it right. And it's and it's all about walking up to the table. A couple of Saturdays ago, I went to play Rockford in an evening, which I never ever do. I always am there when I open the table in the morning. But for whatever reason, I decided to go in the evening, and I just happened to walk up to the table. At the end of the table, somebody was literally just rolling a 7, and the dice were coming to this guy that was right next to me, like literally right next to me. It had come around to our side of the table, and he went on a heater, and I made like $5,000 on him in an hour. He rolled for an hour. And that was me walking up. That was one of the rare occasions where I walk up to a table and aren't instantly down. And had I been 10 minutes later, that would have been a completely different story. That would have been a completely different trip, because I didn't stay, but I went to get some dinner. But coming back to that table and talking to some of the guys that I know, they're playing, and they're like, "Good thing you left, because as soon as that was done, it just went downhill." So had I been there 10 minutes later and not gotten on that guy's roll, that would have been a losing day instead of a positive day. So it's so much about timing, this game is.
Dude, I lost a couple grand, which I'll tell you about. You don't know Birdman from Indiana, right? He was in town. And one of the most, it's funny because I could tell you some of the most frustrating for me, the most disappointed that I get playing craps is when I lose money and I didn't shoot and I didn't touch the dice. And up until last night, I was on absolute tear. I mean, just been crushing it, dude. I mean, winning, hitting them all, 3 times already this year for big money, and just even up 100, 200, breaking even, which to me, I'm very proud of those break evens, because usually it's been a battle and I've been able to take myself out of the game and get my ass home, where I'm like, okay, all the water's out of the boat now. I can just like get my feet back onto shore and go home without being upset, because I can't stand, like, for example, you losing money and you didn't touch the dice at all. Probably my biggest, I'm more bummed out. Like, why did I bet so much why did I not touch the dice? Or why did I lose that much on other shooters? And that's
exactly
that's my biggest leak, which has gotten, I mean, literally, if it was at a 10, it's at a 2 now. I mean, I have not done that. My last losing session was that times 10, aggressive 6-8 betting with full odds with shooters, dude, with shooters. That's the other thing. It was just, whether or not it's excitement, you're stoked to be there. You've got a row of guys that can actually like put numbers up, but you end up doing that. And it's really it's a bummer. That's the stuff that eats at me, is specifically that when I lose money and I didn't do it. I can go home when I've lost money on myself and feel, hey, you know what? I did it. No problem. I get it. But I should be able to control better my bets on other people. And a lot of what it signals to me is that impatience, lack of discipline, just coming out of the gates too quick. But that's a common thing.
All three of those are leakage points for me. I mean, there's a huge difference, at least in my mind, as far as a local casino versus a Vegas situation, right? So if I drive an hour to the casino, I mean, should I be disciplined enough to like just not play if the conditions aren't right? Well, absolutely. But I have a hard time driving that hour and then not getting on the table or trying to wait. Whereas in Vegas, for the most part, you have the opportunity to move around and find a table that suits what you're looking for. And you've found an awesome setup where you're at, where have gotten to know the crews enough where you can kind of control the table, and that's killer. And that's not to say that there's an excuse for being dumb when you're playing at your local, because that's not an excuse. But it's something you always gotta think about for sure.
I was having this conversation with a guy named Hero who was in town, and told him about this, or he's in town now, and told him about that whole thing about, and Bump John as well. I was talking to him and Birdman. I said, this is what I consider advantage play. I'm tilting this game into my advantage when I can go to Paris, Palms, Durango. Again, it's more late night. I can't just walk in there during peak hours, but
Yeah,
right.
Right.
I prefer to go after 11, 11:30. But this is advantage play, man. I'll take any person that says, well, advantage play is only based on math. This is not, has anything to do with math. It's the advantage of setting up a table in a casino so that it's almost like you're shooting at your home table,
Yeah, it's
because it's
getting the
just going to,
conditions. It's getting to the conditions that are fair for you, or give you the best possible chance. And
yeah,
sure, that doesn't affect math, one bit whatsoever, but it does make a difference.
dude. And that was the problem yesterday, because we had other players at the table, which, so let's say Birdman has a short roll, Sun has a short roll. Normally, if this is a situation like when Bump John and I go shoot, he has a short roll, dice right back to him.
Yep.
Dice right back to him. All of these sessions that him and I are going to go over, these three, were the table conditions were absolutely perfect. It was just us two. So how we run a table is Bump John, who's shooting first? Cool. Boom, boom, boom. You got the dice 3 times, 4 times. And then let's see where you're at. How are you feeling? Those conditions just don't exist. So when you can get that, that's a massive advantage in a casino. And all those times usually pay off. And they paid off huge for us the last 3 times. I mean, especially at Palms late night, we walked in there. We're like, okay, cool. Let's go see how let's go see what the tables are. It's 1:30. Well, guess what? The table we wanted was closed down, but the empty big table crapless was open. They're like, come play, right? Good crew, good floor. I'm like, I don't really like this long table, but how you feeling, Bump John? You feeling good? He's like, yeah, cool. He shot from stick left 1, and then he got the dice 4 times in a row, dude. You know how awesome that is? And then I got the dice because he ended up going from like big roll, medium roll, short, short. Then I'm like, okay, logically, naturally, let me shoot from stick right 1. Let me give it a try. Dude, I had a killer roll, right? Killer roll on this crapless. I had my 11 up to 1,000. I'm going to tell this story anyway, but I had all my extremes. Like, I think it was an 18 roller, and I had 7 or 8 of them were extremes. So I had all my extremes up to 500. My 11 was 1,000. Dude, Wisco, I hit the tall, and I didn't even know I hit the tall. dude, it's rare. That's only happened one time. Ed was at the table. It was like, I think it was that you were at the table. Maybe I had no idea I hit the tall. Right. So we're shooting, and I'm only thinking about like, holy shit, I've got $1,000 11.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
crazy.
I'm like, okay, I've just been pounding these crap numbers, man, with this 5 6 6 5 set, higher than usual toss, and they're just dropping them in there, right? And I'm like, okay, like there's a lot of money out there. This is going to determine whether I'm going to go home like big or just go home like, I know I was up like $500 at that point, right? But I had a lot out on the table, just on the extremes. That's $2,500. So Wisco, I throw it, right. I see a 6 4, right? And they all start cheering, right? The floor and the crew. And I'm thinking, did they read the dice wrong, right? I'm thinking they read the dice wrong. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, do I say something? That's not a 6-5. But it turned out it was the tall. I had no idea, none at all, that the tall was in play. That tall paid $3,000 because I had 100 on it. So it's awesome when that happens. And
well, you're in the zone. If that,
yeah,
you're in a zone and you're not paying attention. All you want is those dice back in your hand to throw the next number, right?
yeah.
You don't
And
care.
so,
You don't really care what, what's happening with the bonus at that time.
and that's the other thing about getting those tables in, with minimal people on them to your advantage, is that dice come back sooner and everyone's working. By the way, I'd like to point this out. This is something really cool, really subtle that happened. And a shout out to, I think her name was like, it was at Yuka at Palms. Wisco, this is really cool. When you get crews that, I was in that role, someone came to relieve her from stick and she just told them to no.
I've had that happen before too. That's awesome when that happens.
Dude, isn't that a great feeling? Because you are absolutely aligned with this crew, and this crew doesn't want this to stop. And that's another advantage, I feel like, in at a whole nother level of having them all, we're all on the same page, because obviously they have bets up there.
Crews play such a large part of, a successful crap game, right? I mean, how often, can you go to a crap table, get a crap crew, that takes forever, doesn't know payouts, and you know how hard it is to win on that table? It's crew has more of an influence than most people think.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset, not necessarily, it might be like sort of I think it's a carryover from the old guard and the different days of playing when it was a more adversarial type philosophy or thought on the game. I don't see that as, I don't know. That's not necessarily a thing anymore. I think crews, with knowing which crews keep tips or not, also helps. But I think they need to be aligned on every single level, financially with you, as well as just they like you. Mm-hmm. I always, Wisco, I think if you and I were working a crew and we saw some clown come up there that would just stroke us, not tip us, that would just be one of these guys, let's say, and it was really tough, would you be rooting for that person to go on a long roll? I know I wouldn't. In all honesty, I'd be like, screw this guy. I hope, I'd probably be thinking about a 7. If you've got a whole crew thinking about a 7, I don't think you want to even put that. I know this, again, it's out there, and Dice Coach would probably agree with this whole thing. If you have everyone thinking about a 7, that crew, that's going to possibly manifest itself, or that energy. You don't want any of that energy, Ricky Bobby, right? You don't want
exactly
any
right.
of that.
The energy. It's all about the energy of the table, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's how are you doing as far as managing your loss? So you said you hadn't played. Why haven't you played recently? Are you just taking time off because you were like frustration?
No, I took, the real reason was because 2025 for a new home builder was not a fun year. It was not a good year. And so I finally had to, put a little bit of brakes on the craps table, just so I could pay bills essentially. Luckily this year's looking up, awesome, which is awesome. And I've been able to start playing again now. Not as much as I would like to, but that's also because I've been struggling shooting. That kind of comes down to, I'm not practicing an hour a day or hour a night like I used to either. So I'll get back into that. I've been struggling finding the correct set. My toss is pretty good, but my set, I think it's something to do with my set, or just the bounce at the table, or just unlucky. But that's why I took a break.
Who would you say, I mean, as far as, since you mentioned your set and your toss, who taught you, or where did you learn, or where would you say your sort of teaching lineage, or your playing style has evolved from? Because was it you that I was talking to? I don't know if it was you yesterday or when I was talking about how I view teaching and coaches as football coaches, where you had the Bill, the Bill Parcells coaching tree, and then you go into, Bill Belichick and all of those, versus a West Coast offense where I feel like my coaching, I'm more of a West Coast style player, a little more wide open and aggressive in certain ways. But I feel like teachers Heavy, they have, it's a coaching tree. I feel like Heavy and Ed versus, let's say, a Bo, which is a different style coaching tree, versus you could say, John Patrick, all these guys, Tony Leo. Where would you say your style has evolved from, or the teachers that you've sort of taken the most from?
So I've been lucky enough to take take a lot of people's classes. So my first ever class was with Heavy, and then I was no, that's wrong. My first ever class was with Bo, which was awesome. Bo is a much different teacher than all the other ones. You might go in there thinking that you're going to be working on your toss, and somehow you end up working on your betting, because he's just so well rounded. And then I took Heavy's class, and then I'm part of Wage, Tony Leo's group, and there's awesome shooters in there that I've got to play along and learn things from. And then I was able to take Casino Tiers event as well. So it's hard to say. I think I pulled a little bit from every one of them. One of my tosses is styled after Tony Leo, depending on the scenario I'm in. My straight out shot is based on Bo's one of his old videos. Actually, he has a straight out video that's basically how I shoot from straight out, and I'm actually pretty good from straight out. And then Heavy's Heavy. You're going to get all kinds of information from, but in all honesty, it's not from one person. It's from, and even picking up stuff from YouTube. Like watching Ed, or watching Alfredo, or watching some of these other people. I think where people have a problem is when they try to lock into, okay, well, this teacher said do it this way, and then that's the only way. I'm of the thinking that you can take a little bit from everywhere and make it your own. And then mine, it just comes from all of that, and then practice, and then knowing what I had to work with, like with my spin. Nobody, no teachers would teach spin like I have. And so I've learned to use it, but I pull in, a lot of different things from everybody that I've learned from.
Hey, Wisco, I think that's awesome, because I think having an eclectic approach, I still find the craps community to be too rigid in general, in all sorts of way, especially in their all across the way, shooting and betting. But I think you can take away a little bit from everyone. And you mentioned like Heavy. There's certain things that, dude, there's the amount of stuff in that guy's brain. You just have to, just accessing it. There's little things that I've always take away from conversations with Heavy. Bo, of course. Tony, of course, too. I mean, all of these guys. Someone asked me, Ron asked me, he's like, yeah, why'd you take the GTC class? Tell you what, man, even though I don't agree with their betting at all, right? It got me, the takeaway was, it got me back into playing or focusing on stick left one and the beauty of that shot. Although I don't use I don't have a backswing. I actually don't put it on the deck either. It's just it's definitely, a par origin, but I appreciate that GTC teaches that like so hardcore. You can't say they're not committed to a direction. I mean, they are committed to a direction, and just like all of these teachers are, they have their way. And I think the good craps players, in my opinion, are going to take a little bit of each and develop their own style. And that same with YouTube. You can learn something. You just can't, accept it as gospel. This is my way to play because I saw it there. But if you can incorporate that into your betting style, I think that would be the trick.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, rigidity will kill a craps game pretty quickly, in my opinion.
Dude, listen, man, we got to get to this. Wisco, I'm going to go back to read some of these comments. All right. Hold on a second. I saw one that was funny, man. This one. Big E 5188. Dears, you and Ben need to go to a Viking Green Bay game together. Dude, are you a Bears fan or a Viking fan?
Me?
Yeah.
None of the above. I'm a Packer
You're a
fan.
Packer fan? You're a Packer fan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
Wisconsin. I'm
My arch
Wisconsin through
rival.
and through.
Oh, man. Dude, you guys have been blessed with like Hall of Fame QBs your whole entire existence. Literally, your whole entire existence. Pretty much Bart Starr, fucking Favre, then Rodgers, and then I don't know. Now might be
we had a gap. We had a gap between Bart Starr and Don Mikowski.
The Magic Man. Yeah, man.
A long time ago.
Let me see. Here. Listen, Craps Master Journey. The nice thing about the Illinois crew, none of them drink. I think that is good. I think that is important. Although, listen, man, you know what? There's people, not that drinking's bad. There's some people that can do it. Ed can do it. You know, some people are fully functioning and good while they play. And like this guy. Yeah, Tears, when I get that right mix, it's great. When too many Red Bull vodkas, yeah, it can be game over for sure. Jaybird, my problem is being too conservative and not getting in too late to capitalize.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that can happen.
That's both a blessing and a bane sometimes. I mean, again, I think, you know what, Wisco, I think it's all about like, craps is sometimes for me, it's like driving a car. It's like knowing, when to accelerate and when to ease back and when to brake. It's a constant. I mean, that's the constant. What I think makes it an easier drive around the course is when you've only got a very few shooters that you know really well. Then you're asking for problems with a lot of when you go to these full tables. I mean, and I'm guilty of it.
Me too.
Let me see. Listen, I think Sandman, listen, that's how it should be. It's a bonus. You're talking about the ATS. Wisco, I was watching John from Pro Craps, okay, his new channel. He talked about the ATS. I'm gonna have him on to talk about all of what he said, because I totally, again, respect him, but totally disagree with it. But it will make for a very interesting combo. Dude, is this Waylon? Waylon, I've never met Waylon, but I've watched your videos, dude. Shout out Waylon. Oh, dude.
Yeah, that ATS thing is kind of funny because the other day I had $1,000 4 or 10. I can't remember which one it was. And everybody was rooting for the ATS. And I'm like, I don't care about the ATS at this point in time. Just keep hitting that 4. I mean, you can get numbers built up where that ATS, I mean, yeah, it's great to hit, but
I do think that a number. I have a way of playing the ATS. My whole thing is predicated on, I got 60 pages over here written about it. Again, I take a very different contrarian view to that. But listen, check this out. This is a great comment, and I was going to talk about this later if Bump John ever got in. But this is big news, man. Craps RN, Trauma Mama. Did you know and announce that Palms is now 10 times odds? Yes, I did know, and I was one of the first people to play that night with 10 times odds, and I had $1,000 on a point, which was 10, which hit, and $1,000 behind the 6, which hit. I hit it 2 out of 3 times with max odds.
I did not know that, and that just makes that place even better now.
Mm-hmm. Dude, they're so like for the craps community. They just need to stock that place with more dealers. Like the problem was yesterday, there should have been 4 tables, there was only 3. So, but yeah, shout out Craps RN and Trauma Mama. I did know, and that is awesome. And you know what? The person in charge of all the craps there, they ultimately want to have tables around that whole bar. They want like 12 tables there. So they're going to have 2 more. They're going to add 2 more. So there will be 8. Um, let's see, dude. Canine comp, canine comp. There is a canine that's in Hawaii. Just so you know, the Canine Brotherhood. Casting TV 777. It's just skill, no energy. You got it or you don't that day. Nothing bothers me anymore on a craps table. The rules allow people to do whatever that it is what it is. Bet less on that kind of table. Dang. Oh man. JJ, DGen, what's up, JJ? Oh, Mr. Greg Oswald in here. Let me see. Man, there's a lot of people in this chat, Wisco. Dude, even OJ Simpson, 32. Oh, man. Yep. And Moonshine, the Palms is even better now, Wisco. It really is. Special delivery, Casey Harris has 100 times odds. Yep. Oh, nice. JJ just checked into Paris. There's a lot of people coming in town, Wisco. It's a shame you're not here. This is a good time because we're having an experience. It's sold out. A lot of players in town. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. And then, dude, Dice Dingleberry, whoever this dude is, I like him. Wisco. Colonel Mustard did it in the study. That's my kind of comment. All right, listen. Wisco, and it's been a pleasure, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Setup, and I like the color of your hoodie. It's very pleasing to the eye, man. With your back,
that was my whole goal.
Hey, listen, one last thing that you told me before we say goodbye to you is, you mentioned something that what craps did to you personally or mentally, because I'll tell you what it's done for me. It was one of the only things that would take my brain, like it was like a drug in a weird way that would like turn my brain off. So craps, when I would go play, would be a way for me to turn everything else off in my life. Everything. It was something that would force me, almost like if you were lifting weights, it would force me to only pay attention to that because of all the calculations, computations, everything that was going on. And so craps in a way always, it's a solid relief from my life as far as I can turn everything off. Women, work, all that shit, stress, and I can just go in there. It's a different kind of stress, but it's a good kind of stress. But it's exhilarating, isn't it? When you've got like $1,000 on a number, or you're crazy. A number away. I mean, it's so like, it's just that feeling is there. But that's what it would do to me. But as far as you said something that and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like it brought you out of your shell.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm very much a corner of the room kind of guy. I'm not much for small talk. I'm very much an introvert, and it's just me. But I've gained friends from this. You and Jeremy and Alfredo and Fuzzy, amongst many others that I consider, true friends now. Where and that's states away. That's not like somebody in my neighborhood. And the fact that you can rally from that far away, and have that close of a friendship, there's little else that can make that happen, and I go to my local now, and I have no problem. I have no problem, talking to other locals that I see there, every time I go there. Whereas before, I mean, I wouldn't want anybody to talk to me.
Right.
So you hit it right on the head. It's brought me out of a shell, so much so that, I'll tell my wife, something, and, about a conversation I had, or that I'm coming on to do something like this. And, she'll want to know what I did with her real husband, because it's just a different world. But when you enjoy something this much, it just becomes, easier to let yourself out of that shell.
Yeah. And it's crazy, Wisco, because some of the, like this, when you do have those losses, that you end up beating yourself up over. I've had losses when I was not living here, when I would come to Vegas from California and I lose. And then I would be like, I'm not going back for like 2 months, or what longer because of that, because it can be like devastating, but you can't get, the game is once you're addicted to the game or you just love the game, it's great, man. That's nice if it can bring anyone out of their shell. And speaking of this, it's like, dude, real pain. Dude, what I like that handle, man. Real pain. He asked how to get in touch. I can put you in touch with Wisco. Just get in touch with me and I'll get in touch. I'll put you in touch with Wisco.
Otherwise, my email is just easy. It's wisco330@gmail.com.
Nice, man. That is it. Yeah. Kind of like mine is 10 ton is #1@gmail.com, right? It's no brainer. Someone mentioned, I think you said recently you hit the ATS at Paris. Did they bring back the ATS at Paris? So listen, at Paris, no, I did not hit the ATS. I've been a number away for many times. They have 2 repeater tables, 2 ATS tables. That's the update at Paris. Yeah, man.
Well, thanks again for having me on.
Dude, Wisco, the pleasure has been mine, man. It was nice. It was nice to see you and nice to have this convo, man.
If anybody has any questions about this area, get a hold of me, or you can get a hold of somebody like Arnell, and we can lead you in the right direction.
It'd be cool to be out there, man. Dude, I had a crazy story about when I was in Wisconsin to Madison specifically. That was the first time when I was younger, when I was a musician, I woke up on a Saturday morning, like hungover. Dude, I never saw so much red in my life. Like, I did not understand like how much you guys get out for game day, dude.
Oh, if it was on a game day, it would be crazy.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah. I didn't know where I was, dude.
Yep. Even when Wisconsin comes out to Vegas to play, which they do every once in a while, every 5 or 7 years or so, you'll walk down the street, down the strip in Vegas, and you'll run into people that from Wisconsin. It's nuts when we go play out there.
Yeah. Dude, I'm going to end it with this. Dingleberries, dude. Great job, Wisco. Get it up to 3,300 inside, which would be amazing, wouldn't it?
I've been there. I've been.
Man, have you ever been to 3,300 inside, dude?
Well, pressed up. My biggest win ever was around July 4th last year, and I'm pretty sure both Fuzzy and I had our 6s up to like $6,000 or something. By the time we sevened out.
Oh man, what a feeling, dude! What a feeling to have the 6 up to 6,000, dude, isn't it?
Nothing. Pulling $30,000 off of a craps table is a feeling that you will never ever relate anything to, honestly.
And you know what? The other thing about that, when you have like a score like that, dude, when I've had those big scores, I like when I'm walking to the cage or anything like that, I'm patting myself on the back because I'm like, I knew I could do this. Good effing job, 10 ton. I knew I could do it. It's more that. I don't need to let everyone in the casino know I did it. It's more like I did this. I knew I could do it and I did it.
I'll leave you with this. If you ever have the opportunity to get your bets pressed up really big on the inside and you collect like you should be, so you're taking at least more off the table or at least even off the table than what you're putting back on the table, try not to think about what's out on the table and try not to care what's left out on the table, because that is literally all opportunity that's out there. And without that out there, I would have never had a $30,000 pull off of a craps table in one hand.
Yeah, I know, man. It's like it's a big give and take on all that. But dude, a little shout out to Alfredo.
Yeah, there's the man himself.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's nice, man. Nice to see you in here, Alfredo. Gave you a shout out earlier, so we'll get you on the show too, dude. So you got a lot of friends, a lot of fans here. Listen, one more, dude. Wisco, stent placer, who was in town and won 510 today at Hard Rock, and I was pumped. Hell yeah.
Anytime you pull money off a table,
Yeah.
you should be pumped.
I won $5.10. I'm still pumped, man.
Especially if
So
you came from being down.
yeah, exactly. But dude, I'm still gonna, I can't wait to talk to those guys hopefully next week. I think you're just down. You just got to assume you're going to be down immediately. I think if you go in there thinking
Mhm.
it's so, let me ask you something, Wisco. How often do you start a crap session and you're up? Like immediately?
The one a couple Saturdays ago was my first one in probably 10 plus trips.
Right. You usually start down no matter what. I
Yep,
mean, you're down with your first bet. You're
exactly.
below your starting stack. I mean, so you're always like, it's tough to hit it right. It's about timing. It's about pacing. There's a lot that goes into this game. Um, Wisco, man, my pleasure. Glad you came on.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm gonna get to Bump John, all right? See you,
Later.
Wisco. Later, dude. We're going to Bump John right now. Talk about some sessions. Oh, Bump John. Bump John, let me get your intro, buddy. All
I was
right.
gonna say you didn't run the intro.
Here, I'm gonna run it right now, dude. Actually, I'm gonna run this though first. I'm drinking a new drink. So it's time for sponsor, not our sponsor time. You want to hear about this drink? But called
I'd love to
Junie.
hear about it.
Hold on a second. All right, dude, check this out, man. Sparkling tea with adaptogens. Junie for a happy mind. Raspberry. And flavored with other natural flavors. It's actually pretty tasty. Look at this packaging. I'm a sucker for packaging with Bump John. Just an absolute sucker for packaging. Oh, did
The
I get to your
advertising got you.
listen? Let's do a sound check real quick, Bump John.
How do I
Talk to me.
sound?
Hopefully those whatever you're on will come through. Keep talking to me, man.
What do you want me to talk about?
All right.
I suck at this shit.
There's a little delay, but that's okay. Last time, did you use those earbuds?
I did. I got to track down that microphone.
Dude, yeah. Didn't I give you a microphone?
You did. Now I've got it somewhere, but
Okay, yeah, okay. Just checking to see if the point of that was for you to use it. Right? Right? Yeah. Listen, and that's Bump John. Dude, I love that. Shout out ETG for making all those things. Bump John, we're going to get down and dirty, dude. We're going to talk about
right.
these sessions, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I love talking about. But listen, man, I got to just take a piss. So hold on. I'm just going to put this on real quick, all right? Give me
All
2
right.
seconds before we get into these cuz these are good rolls. This will be another great convo, man. This is about hitting alls. You and I both hit them all, and it was these. This is advantage play, dude. We're going to talk about advantage play. But hold on. Check Vegas out for a second. Bump John. Yo, dude, let's do this.
Okay.
All right, man. Let's go through a little some deep session analysis, man.
We're
I
talking
think
about the palms first.
we're going to talk about. I think we're going to talk about the palms. Let me see the palms on 227. You sent me these cards. Let me put these. Let me get these queued up, dude. All right. Yep. Let me get these queued up. Okay. All right, Bump John. This is what we got, man. For anyone that's new in this chat, Bump John and I, we go out and he's an amazing tracker of rolls. Everyone needs a Bump John. That should be bumper sticker, dude. Everyone needs a Bump John or a song. You know what I mean? Everyone needs a Bump John. You are great at this, and we have these tracking books, which are so this paper is matte paper. It's cardstock. It's just perfect for writing on and keeping track of rolls. And we, Bump John and I, will do this. We'll take these back after a session or during a session. We have a lot of parlays, and we're in communication all the time during a session. A lot of times it's just because there's only a couple people at the table, so it makes it really easy for us to, get our advantage play on. All right, Bump John, tell me what we're looking at right here. 227 at the palms. This is the back table, correct?
Yes, this is the table by the bar.
Yep. And I think I had. So we started here. If you see this, right
you started
here.
at stick left one.
You started at stick left one, correct? Or did I?
You started at stick left one. We did 3. We were going to do 3 rolls each, and then I think stick right one cleared up, so you jumped over there. But you started off. You did 3 rolls.
3 rolls.
Then,
so that's kind of our MO, right? I started off and I went and I had 3 pretty fucking subpar rolls. 7, 4, and 6, correct? Yeah. And so
you had switched sets a few times.
Yeah. 7, 4, 6. So pretty horrible in general. And this is when I ended up I think this is when I switched over to stick right, which was right around here, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And let's get to
floppy right in there.
Yeah. And so this is what I want to talk about. We just kept battling here. So you right up in here, after I was at stick left one for 3 times, we decided to abandon ship for me at that position. I was like, so this is what I'll do a lot of times. If I have a roll, if I don't hit double-digit rolls and I start out, the good thing about going, let's say, with someone and controlling table conditions is the fact that I didn't wait 40 minutes to get the dice back after the 7 rolls. I waited 2 seconds and then rolled again and had a 4 roller. Okay. And then didn't wait 40 minutes, waited another 2 seconds and said, Bump John, should I shoot again? Yes. And then had a 6 roller. And that's when I was like, this is not working. 3 strikes and I'm out. And then Bump John, you took over, correct? At this point.
That was the plan. Yeah, there was a couple people were on stick right or on the right side of the table, and You really don't like shooting when there's anyone on that side.
Oh yeah, we had raised the limit. That's right. We had raised the limit, but there were still some people that were grandfathered in. And so that's by the time that I ended up moving, we gave you the dice, you shot. By the time I ended up getting a dice back and trying it from stick right one after you shot, because you ended up with an 8 roller right here.
Yeah.
Then you had
wasn't great.
No, a 4 roller.
That was you from stick
No.
right one.
Oh, stick right one. Man, just shooting horribly at this point. Horribly.
And then I had a 4 roller.
So, man, Team 10 Ton and Bump John just not doing well. This is the reality of craps. But, and then another 5 roller. And then Bump John, you ended up with a 7. Nothing amazing. So we've had the dice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. No double-digit rolls. None. But
I think you had to buy back in at some point, probably right around here.
This is when things change. right here. If I'm not mistaken, because I think then it goes into 320 rollers, correct?
For you,
yeah,
it's broken up by, you had a 6 roller, you had a 20 roller, then a 6 roller, and then 26 and 24.
Those are okay. So 320 plus rolls out of 4.
Yeah,
okay.
3 out of 4 rolls.
So what happened is that at that moment in time, and this is it right here. Let me get to this page. Let me get to this next one, and we'll start looking at this. Let me remove this.
Well, go back to that first page. There was something I just noticed on this one.
Oh, really? Damn. Do I have to?
Well, you, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rolls in that roll. You just needed the 12 for the tall. And you told me, you're like, hey, I'm just going to go for it.
Are you sure it was that roll? Here,
it was that roll, yeah.
All right, let me go back. Let me go back to that. All right, hold on. Let me get back to that. All right, here we are back at this. All right, what are you talking about? Where, on this very last one?
This last one, yeah, starting on line 55.
Yeah.
You knocked out a 9, 11, 8, then you rolled a 6, then you got a 10. And after you got that 10.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
After you got that 10,
yeah,
you turned off all your bets and you're like, hey, I'm just going to go for it.
Oh,
and so you changed your set to.
Listen, this is, yeah. Hey, listen, you know what? I don't know if you've met Dice Dingleberries, Mump John, but I would agree with him. Can we get Bump a better mic? That's it. One of his best comments. Okay. Yeah. The better mic, Dice Dingleberry, is probably laying on the ground somewhere. It's the mic that I got him. Okay. It's somewhere on the ground with dust and probably dog hair on it. Okay. But it's there, and you need to connect that next time we do this. All right.
It's in a pile of shit. My entire bedroom is destroyed because
I don't want to know why. I don't want to know why.
I had to remove everything from my bathroom and my closet and stack it all up in my bedroom because I had 7 leaks in my bathroom.
All right, so listen.
It took forever to get shit fixed. So,
Bum John, I'm glad that you brought this up. So for people, this goes out. This goes out to every single one of the people out here that on my group of haters. Okay. Dice influence, dice controlling haters. Okay. Line 55 is where we're looking at right here. Point is a 9. And keep in mind, I went up with 100. Yeah. Okay. Let me ask. So check this out. Gambler Terry. The tracker pad isn't on the Casino Tiers website. You are correct, sir. It is not yet. It will be next week. It will be next week. We're just getting those all sort of sorted out and packaged up. Okay. And and Odds Fellow, you're correct. This is brand new. We have beta tested this. For people that don't know, these sheets that you're looking at took months for us to figure out and come up with the best way to cover everything. And I mean, obviously it might look confusing. It's going to look confusing on the screen, but trust me, these are like chef's kiss. All right. Chef's kiss for these things, just everything about it down to the paper. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. Take a look at line 55. Point was a 9. At this point, I had put up maxed ATS, 100-2,500. This is at Palms. This is at the back table. This is at the table that I have consistently rolled well, pretty solid on. Here we go. Point is a 9. By the way, I'm using a 5-6-6-5 set. Obviously, it's going to throw, I'm thinking it's going to throw, my dominant hard way is going to be a 10, but I should be getting, obviously, clearing up a lot of those horn numbers. So, second roll is a 5-6-11. 6-2-8, 5-1-6, 4-6-10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rolls. I'm looking at banging out the tall, which is a dream situation right here. This is a dream situation. I had stopped everyone. I went over to Bump John and said, Bump John, what did I say?
You said, hey, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to turn off my bets and I'm going to go for it.
With this.
And you switched to 6-2-2-1.
Which you noted right here on the side. 6-2-2-1, which you have seen me do before at Palms in the exact same situation when they had the table vertical. I'm like, Bump John, I'm going to set for the 12. And then I hit it. And I looked over at you and just started laughing. Same thing happened this time. Set for the 12. And oh, look at what we have here. Let's just move this. A 12. A 6, 6, 12. This, not making this up. That's the thing. That's why I like this. That's why we have records of this and we have dealers witnessing this. And I think it was at this point of the roll. So that was a nice $3,000 into the coffers, dude. Nice $3,000 that comes in. Then I said, Bump John, I said, it's funny when your memory comes back on these things. So, yeah, I can always remember, what happened I just need little cues. I said to them, I'm keeping my bets off. I'm keeping my bets off. Best case scenario is I bang out the 9, which is still live and active. And hey, Bump John, what did I do?
You kept your odds on.
Kept my odds on. Yep.
They asked you if you want. They said, "Hey, your odds are still working." And I said, "Let's go."
I said, "Let's go." That's the only thing working. And what did I hit? Oh, 4, 5, 9, dude. Right? Perfect. You can't get off to a better start than this. Hits the tall, then bangs out his point. And I think then I said, I've never made it all at Palms. I think I said that to everyone, and we're like, never made it all at Palms. And we went there. By the way, did we not go to Palms in the car? We were like, I'm going to make the effing tall. I mean, I'm going to make them all. Didn't we say that going there?
We manifested that. We didn't manifest the 100 roller that we said we need. But
yeah. But we manifested that.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to I'm going to go to the second screen, man. Here we go. Because this is when this roll gets great, man. I mean, it's already solid. Right there. That just made up for all the 4s and 7s and 6s that transpired earlier. Because if you can hit that big, I mean, call it a comeback, call it whatever, but I mean, I go there with a plan of hitting that anyway. So, yes, it is just a bonus, but it's not a bonus. I don't look at it. I look at it as something that I'm actively viewing as a place bet.
This is a money maker, yeah.
Or a long-term developing play. So I'm not playing it. I'm playing it big for a very specific reason, because you can then lay against that heavily. So it's I don't know, man. I just think about it differently. Always has. All right, here we go, man. I'm adding this to the stage. Here we go. Page number 2. Bump John.
So I
what am I?
After you hit your point,
Mm-hmm.
you came back and you set a 5. And so at this point, all you need is a 2 and a 4. Because you had rolled a 3 on the previous page.
Yep.
And so you switch your set again.
Yep.
And you say, I'm going to try to go for it.
Right here.
And unfortunately, it doesn't work out this time, but.
No, but you know what? Turn bets off, correct?
Well, this was the come out. You had just hit your point, the 5. So come out, none of your bets are working. So you're like, I'm going to go for it.
So the tall reset. So everything resets. Oh, dude, let me just, here's ATS Hunter. I was on the podcast saying, I love this guy's handle. I love this handle. Of course, I should be hanging out with the ATS Hunter. All right. So Bump John, in this roll, not only did I hit the tall for 100, I hit them all maxed out. So this is just the prelude to good things to come. But we did call that shot. And this second one we tried, we didn't get it. Obviously, you're not going to get it all the time. But so this roll continued. Interesting thing to note here in this roll is that night, usually my dominant, sometimes, you know, I'm not going to get stuck on betting. My dominant hard way is a 10 with this set on this table. It didn't pan out, but I didn't force it. I wasn't always betting. If I didn't see it, I wasn't going to bet it. In fact, we ended up seeing more of the hard 8s than anything. And so again, it's constant paying attention, sort of verifying what you would expect versus the reality of the situation at the moment. So anyway, roll ends with a 20 rollers. So we just busted out of, you know, this table ended up going from being like very like lukewarm to we got a stew going, Bump John, right? All right. So then I don't know what this is. Did I get it again?
Yeah, I passed the dice to you.
All right. Again,
we wanted to keep the hot hand going.
So that's another thing to point out. Playing in this situation, let's say how you and I play, is that right here. This is so advantageous. There's no one else at this table. We can pass the dice back to the hot hand, which currently was myself. So we get it back. We come out with a 7 right here. 8. And then I don't know what Bump John, is this all? Is this you here?
No? This is you.
Yeah. Okay. So again, so a 6 roller essentially.
A 6 roller, yeah.
Then you
told me to shoot.
Yep. So I figured, okay, cool. Your turn now. Need a break.
And I had 2 short rolls in a row.
Yep. So you got it twice. Again, a nice thing, man. I'm really into having someone keep shooting because I feel like, you know, it's so rare in general for you to get the dice back so quickly. It's just such an advantage for you. Oh, I had a 6 roller and now I'm going to wait. And it's like, no, you get the dice right back, buddy. So then you ended up with, you had a 5 roller and then another 5 roller, right? So you were like, pass it back to me. Yeah. I mean, we're really playing as a team, and there's very little ego involved. We're just there. We want someone who's ever shooting has the hot hand. And then this one, dude, this was a 26 roller, right?
Yes. And I think this is actually where you told them you had never hit the all.
Did I hit the all on this one, or is it the next page,
hit the all, you hit the all on this one.
Oh, nice, dude. I don't know where that's noted. Okay, my come out roll can't get any better. Aces on the come out, man, right? We have Bush. We have a Bush with the aces right there, man. Unfortunately, that got nullified with the 7. And then, but just as good, dude. More Bush right here with the 12. Yeah. Right? Then Buckshots the point right here. So that's pretty sweet. 4, 11, 5. Oh, man, 4. I don't think you marked a point, did you, Bump John?
Yeah, down there, line 1, I missed the point.
Yep. So here's another point. So this is my second point right here, correct? Yep. Second point. This would be my third point is 9, which I eventually made here. So I made 3 points on the way to, this is my second 12. When did I hit the tall, man?
You hit the small first. 2 rows down after that 12, you hit the 2.
Okay.
And so 2, and then my sloppy ass S right there to denote the small.
So then so this brings up an interesting point on what happened when we were a number away. So the 2, obviously I couldn't lay anything. So you just had to make it for the small. So that was 3,000 right here. 5, 6, 5, 5. Damn, dude. Then at this moment in time, see, I remember this. At this moment in time, I only need, well, in this time since the small, I remember I turned my bets off after we made the small, because what you're looking at right now, I mean, you're looking at a payout of another 3,000 plus 4,000, $250. Is that 4,250?
I think after you hit that 12, you laid it for, I think, 1,500. Because you were looking to get the tall.
Yeah, no, Bump John, I think I laid this for more than 1,500.
No, you laid it for you laid it for 1,500 because you hadn't hit the small yet. So once you hit that 12, all you needed for the tall was a 10.
Yep.
So you went and laid it for that.
I think I laid it. I'm pretty sure I laid it for Bump John. I increased my lay on this to 3,000.
Like 3,000. Yeah.
Yeah. So my lay at this point was I was guaranteeing myself, no matter what, if this roll ended, I'd already made 3,000. I plan to make over 7,000 if I do hit this 10. But if you notice, normally I have not hit a lot of 10s, which is normally something that I would hit at this table with this set from this position. And it wasn't there. This is the last number to make. So I laid the 10 for $3,000. And I think I had $500 on the hard 10 as a hedge.
It was at least a couple hundred. Yeah.
No, it was $500. I remember that. Okay. So what happened? So did I lose that 3,500? Yes, I did, because the 10 came easy right here. And that's where the all came in. But I'm not complaining. I am not complaining at all, because I just made it all. So went from a 20 roller to the 6 roller, passed the dice to you, and then I came back with a 26 roller, making them all, and we're way up right now. And it was great. And there's shout out to was Jose, who was a floor. Shout out to Charo, who was who I credit as being a new dealer there. First time working.
She was
right,
working that base when you were shooting too.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then let's get to the final one on this, Bump John.
This one wasn't as good.
No, dude. Well,
I mean, you hit a bunch of hard ways, but you kept resetting the bonus.
Yeah, but still, Bump John, look at this, man. This is still a 24 roller. So when we say, like, I mean, this, I love that this is documented, because people are, might not think it's like, we know what we're both capable of. I feel like you're capable of going on longer rolls than I do, but I will, when I'm on, I'll consistently hit teens. I hit numbers and groups, nothing crazy like you, because you will get into the 30s and obviously 40s. But just in this session, within 3 rolls, Dice Dingleberries, great handle. Yes, it was a 20, 26, and 24, 3 out of 4 rolls. My last 3 out of 4 rolls. So that's how we do it, man. And I credit this to Jaybird. No 1500 laying the 10. I laid it for $3,000, and I put 500 on the hard 10. Why? Because you get to leverage that all, and that's why I play it for the max. Because max, you're going to win over 11K. So you've got room now to work when you've cleared a side. You've got a lot of room to so that your other win or your other loss it's still going to be chunky. So ATS Hunter, I'm greedy and arrogant, so I don't like to lay SMH. I totally understand that, but being in Vegas and being able to go and play a lot, we're going to always take the win. And we're just always going to lock up win. I still think it's one of the times I've been there too much when I didn't lock it up. So it's nice to lock up something, because then you're shooting with just such a peace of mind of knowing the casino is going to give you money. They're going to give you money.
It's a different story when you got $100 on a side versus 5, 10, even a quarter.
Yeah, and that's why I will play tables that I think that I can shoot well up. You can, because at one point you're going to hit it. There's a lot. This is why I wanted to bring John on, because he's talking about the ATS and people talk about it's a bleed. Yes, not how I play it. It's not a bleed. I mean, this is an absolute money maker for me. And Bump John, this can playing it at again. The caveat here is that I'm playing it at a high level, and I'm not betting it at a high level for everyone. In fact, yesterday I wasn't even betting it, or sometimes I'll put 10 on it and let it ride. That's my bet on someone. So I'm going heavy on myself. Sometimes I'll go heavy on you on the ATS, depending on how you're shooting, but other times it's quarter. Again, I'm gonna do it usually with that kind of money on it. All right. And yes, you're right. Coach tells me that every time. Yeah. I don't know listen, Dice Coach will say he understands why I play this so big, because he knows, but it's not something there's definitely a plan for this. I think I'm one of the biggest proponents of this. And why talking to John about this, if you play this on everyone, it will be a bleed. But if you approach it with a mindset that this is a quasi place bet, which is how I think about it, this is a place bet that's going to end up appearing. And then all of a sudden during a roll, like at Paris, you have all of a sudden we see a $3,000 option appear that you can then just take. And then maybe you take that, and then all of a sudden now you're playing for possibly 15,000, 18,000. Like these things appear. It's an aggressive way to play craps. Again, you know, I just think about it different, Bump John. You've seen it. At least you've seen it being like my partner in crime late night. You've seen these things. This is not just like
you've changed my mind on that bet. I used to think it was a bleed, and part of that was because I bet 5-5-5 or 10-10-10. I never bet it the way you do.
And I'm not
betting I never had the bankroll that you do.
But I'm not betting it on random shooters.
Yeah.
I can, even then, now I'm just like, more so, I'm mad that I've wasted $30 on a random shooter. But if you're going to take a shot, why waste this opportunity that if you've been practicing shooting and playing, these don't happen every day. Like, if you're lucky if this happens, but Bump John, how many times during a session we expect one of these sides to hit? Well, guess what? This is hitting a side or even laying a side when you're playing it at that big. I don't go across. Remember, if I'm black chip on myself, I'm not going across. I'm picking out two numbers and I start that way, but I go heavy on the ATS for this reason, because this is called, creatively and aggressively creating your own sort of big money opportunities. So, and you've seen me set and shoot it. And Bump John, we're going to get to yours because you were clutch in a minute. But anyway, to make this roll at Palms, we'll anyway, 24 roller here. Let me get to this. Ends with a 24 roller. Solid. What a night. We called it. We called it after that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was down maybe $5 that session.
But
I only started with, I only started with a couple $100. So I was really just betting, when I was shooting.
Let me get to this. I want to get to your role at Durango, man. It's this is not all about me. All right. Let's let me get to this, man, because this was fantastic. And I love seeing this shit, dude. And I wish everyone could experience how you and I go out and play, Oh, Bump John.
If they take a nap in the afternoon and want to go out with us. Yeah.
Let me level with you. Bump John. I got to level with you about something. All right.
So
only one person
what is he trying to do
that one. No, I think he was shooting over that, man. Dude, Wisco,
he's trying to shoot over it.
Dude, shout out Wisco. Thanks for being on, man. You were a great guest. All right, dude. Bump John, let me get to this. Here we go. We're talking. Here we go. We're talking Durango, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this. Bump John, tell everyone what we're looking at.
Okay, so
March 1st, up here at the top, Durango, table number.
Mm-hmm.
What's
this was crapless craps. Normally we don't play crapless, but
walked in there. Leo was there. I don't even know if we had to ask him. He just made it 100.
No, I think he just made it 100.
He just made it 100. And it was just you, myself, and was there anyone else there?
There might have been one other person, but they left shortly after. It was basically just you and I.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's like going out with the two of us to play craps in Vegas. It is not how you're used to going out playing craps. We've got it down to a science and art. So when we leave, we go out. I think this had to be at close to 11:30, right? Bump John?
This was later than that, because this was the day we went to Paris and got our asses kicked at Paris.
No, dude. Paris is right before we went and crushed Palms.
Okay. So
there's a separate time. We just rolled out.
Okay.
Yeah, we just rolled out to Durango. You were we had stick right one, stick left one, perfect situation. I bought in for 10K right here up at the top. You were in for 900. I ended up 7.8K. You ended up 1225, correct? All right, that's awesome. So this is how we started out this session. I started everything off. The set I used, 5665. We were on a crapless table, 15 roller. Solid way to kick off a table.
3 points.
3 points. That's a good lead off. And then, of course, I followed it up with a PSO, right? Followed it up with a PSO, right?
Yeah.
And then that was enough for me to give the dice to you, correct?
Yes.
Yep. No, I think
so.
No, dude, did I hit another PSO? Yeah, I think that's it. So I lead off
2 PSOs
with 3 points. Listen, this is an ego lesson here. I lead off with 3 points and a 15 roller. PSO, because obviously we're going to get the dice back, right? So what do? I'm done. I'm done. Bump John, your turn. You lead off. You start with a 5 roller. You didn't mark. You didn't know, dude. Did you mark your point? No, you never made your point.
I never made my point.
Then an 8 roller, and then this is where the happiness happens.
And I don't think I hit a point on this one either.
No, dude.
Because my point was a 2.
This is insane.
My point was a 2.
Yeah, this is awesome. So you lead off your 3rd roll. You start off with a 7, but this is your point. Because I'll remember that you never made your point. We have Bush. You start with aces. Now, I remember I rolled out on this I was working, I believe, with 50s on the come out. I worked my come out on crapless, and I had this thing maxed. So there's no lays here. You just got to make it. Dude, look at all these numbers that you hit. So on your 8th roll, you hit the small. That's fantastic, dude. 8 rolls in, that's paying me 3,000. 8 rolls. A killer that you let off with aces. Right? Obviously,
yes.
we're going to turn our bets off. And then wow, man, you just keep crushing it. Hard 6. You hit look at these.
I had another
Ace 3. Deuce, 11. Yep. And then down here, it's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 rolls after the 8. So on your 23rd roll is when you finally banged out the all. And on a crapless, everyone maxed out. And that is a beautiful, beautiful, it's a thing of joy, because that is we got ETG coming over here, looking at our numbers dwindling. Right, ETG? That's okay, man. This is nerd time. This is nerd alert, man. Okay? This is nerd alert going through these. Do I even have nerd alert? I don't even. We do? I don't think I have it. Oh, yeah. Bump John. Anyway, Bump John, you want to check the chat? Yeah. All right, listen, man. Let's see who's sticking around for this, man. Odds fellow, Jaybird, ATS Hunter, still here. Huggy Bear, meet and greet tomorrow. Yes, Huggy Bear. There's a meet and greet. Hell yeah, man. I think it's at 6, anytime after 6 o'clock. Oh, by the way, for the experience, no one show up before 8:30. last time, Bump John, last time people showed up here at like 7:30 in the morning.
In the morning?
Still in bed.
I'm not even alive at 7:30.
So, oh man. Who's this guy? Spirit Tossing. I don't know who Spirit Tossing is, but I like that handle. At Spirit Tossing, that's pretty sweet.
I like his
Mad Hatter here. Dude, Grasshopper. Shout out Grasshopper. Dude, you know what? True to his name, Dice Digglebear is still here. Dude, right?
Just hanging around.
Just hanging around in the chat, man. That's awesome. Oh man, Craps RN. Dude, Craps RN. Glad you're still here. X-Man. Yeah, man. Looking forward to you coming out. Ohio still in the house. H2O guy. Yeah, that's funny. Dude, T-Bone. T-Bone still here. Love that. T-Bone. Oh, man. Lucky 2 is here. Spirit Tossing is from Oklahoma, man. That's another Oklahoma. Hey, 10 Ton. Jaybird said, G-Ray's there. 2 empty tables at Palms right now. Hey, Craps RN, you know that there's 2 empty tables at Palms right now at 8:30? That is impressive. Dude, Evan Cruz, I'm here till the end. I'm at work. You help me make it through the night. Man, thank you. Bump John, we're doing the Lord's work. See these 2 guys here, H2O and Huggy Bear, both from my neck of the woods, man. That's good connecting people. That's what we need to do more of. Connect people so that they can go out and do this stuff that we do, you know, which is helpful. How Bump John and I play is I can't stand doing it any other way besides this is the way to do it. And hey, listen, man, you know what, Bump John? Just like what Tony Leo would preach. Tony goes out by himself middle of the night or super early in the morning, right? There's I mean, you cannot argue with that at all. And yes,
I think
Wisco,
I got you to go to Ellis one time and you were like, I'm never doing that again. Because Ellis has always got a full table.
The problem with Ellis is they will not raise the limit, and that's the main problem. As much as I would like I like the people there and I like everything, we just can't raise the limit. Dude. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna bring this guy in. You know, just chimed in, dude. You ever meet Eddie Money?
I haven't met him. I've gone to his concert a few times, but
let me bring him in. Hey, Eddie Money.
Hey.
Eddie Money, dude.
What's happening?
Bump John, meet Eddie Money. Eddie Money's from the San Diego area. He should meet Easy-E.
Yeah. I think you look familiar, Bump John. I don't know if I met you. I don't think I met you per se, but I think I might have been on a table with you where you went on a tear at the Palms. So, I mean, that seems pretty a common theme for you.
You ever been to prison?
Maybe.
Hey, Eddie Money, 1 second though. What are the tables like at Fontaine Blue, Mr. Todd Preston? Tables are long, but tables are great. I like the tables at Fontaine Blue a lot.
The crews are good.
And Bump John, you were there. We were there with Shooting for Aces, dude, and it was really nice, wasn't it? The crews can sometimes, the crews and everyone there made up for the fact that those are a little longer tables, a very pleasant experience. And I'm into pleasant experiences at the craps table. So,
and they've got a ton of tables too, so you could always find an open table. Yeah.
Bump John, let me get to this last Eddie Money, just stick around in here for a second, and then
no worries. Just put me in the waiting room. I'm good.
Oh, all right. You want me to put you in the back in the green room?
Yeah, that works.
All right, I'll put you back in the green room, dude. I don't know if I can, but if I do, just come back.
No problem.
I just kicked him out totally. Sorry, Eddie Money. Come back in. All right. Bump John, let's go through this last thing for anyone that's still sticking around, all right? This would be, I believe this is going to be our session at Palms the other night. Oh man, you. Okay. Yep. 3-3. Here we go. All right. All right. So this is our third session that we played in the past week. This one was we were back at Palms late night the other night. And we walked in there. Bump John, what time was it? 2 tables open. It was like 1:30.
Something like that. It was late.
It was late.
Later than we usually get there.
Yeah, it was 1:30. Oh, this was after Durango. This was after Durango, after we met up with Birdman the other night. And, you know, I was down about $1,000. And so we're like, let's go check out Palms. The great thing about living in Vegas. And then we went over to Palms. There were 2 tables open. Crapless, long table right in the front, had no one on the table. No one. The table we wanted to play was closed, but we're like, okay, let's give it a shot. So it was just you and I. They raised the limit to $100, and you got to business. Your first roll here, Bump John, your first roll was, your set was what?
So 1-4-4-6.
So you stuck with a normal set, and you play crapless like it's a regular craps table.
Yes. I can't remember. At some point this night.
Oh, I remember one. I know what you're going to say. I suggested to try a set that would hit outside numbers or extremes. But your first roll, you let off with a 15. 15 roller, solid. Just us two. So again, nice thing about this, broken record. Hey, Bump John, dice back at you. Keep shooting, right? You ended up with a 6 roller. I think you ended up with I think that's what. I think you shot again, man. I think you basically you shot again. So this is more so. So you had a 6 roller and then a 7 roller. Anyway, I took over at stick right 1 with the same set that's should hit horns, and it did, and tons of them.
You were crushing the 11.
So my first roll was an 8, but then the second roll, and this was a solid roll, was an 18, and this is where I had point was a 9, 6, hard 8, but this is when it got great because I think I started with 50s, and here's my first extreme, which is great because when you have an extreme at 50. I'm using all of that, so I'm reinvesting all of when I'm playing crapless. Here's the way I think about the game. These are tough numbers to hit. So why? And let me just change this view. These are tough numbers to hit. This is for emphasis, Bump John. Why waste time with this? I feel like long rolls are precious. So if you can, especially when you're hitting extremes, you can't like, I'm going to just hit like 4, this 4 times. No way. The repeater is twice on this, and it's that way for a reason. So I want to get black chips. My main goal in crapless is getting black chips up on those as quick as humanly possible. So if I work it on a come out, I work it on a come out. But even if I throw 100 on the extremes, 100 meaning quarters, and I hits, all of that gets reinvested. If it's 2 and 12, they're both going to 100. If it's a 3 or a yo, I'm making that 100. Either way, that's the goal. Okay, get these up to black chips fast. In this case, once that hit, I had 50 on these when I started at that level. Well, guess what? Now things are moving. And then 3 rolls later, obviously I hit my point, establish another one, and then 3 rolls later, let me add this into the screen. Let me go into 3 rolls later, an 11, right? And I was very aggressive with this, man. I think I went up to, at that point, then I went up.
I think your first 11 you hit, I think you pressed.
I went to 300.
All the extremes.
Yeah, but I went to 300. My second 11 hit at 300. Right here. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because in another roll here, this is when it hit at, I hit it at 500. I went to, somehow I hit this at 500. So whether it had to have been right here is when I hit it at 500. So I went.
I thought you hit it at 11.
I hit it and I went to 300. And then look at this, 11, 11, 4, 11. Right here is when I hit it at 500 because I remember what they paid me because I went to 1,000. I mean, that's a dream scenario on a crapless table. Dream scenario. So right now I've got 1,000 on the 11. And then at this moment, I remember, look at, hit the hard 8, 10. Dude, did I hit the tall? Oh my God. I told this story to Wisco. All right. At this moment in time, I've got $1,000 11. Everything else is pressed up to, I know I thought the 500 ace deuce, 500 12, but I had a 400 aces because I thought I had a 500, but I only had 400 on the aces. So anyway, in my brain, I'm so focused on this. I don't play crapless a lot. So, and let alone you're in the midst of, wow, my extremes are pressed. And Bump John, I don't know if you saw, I didn't have a lot on a lot of the other numbers. No other number was past 250 or 300, correct? It was heavily, heavily loaded, exactly how you want to be playing a crapless table. So 8, 10, 9, 8, 6, make the point, establish a new point, and then right here, this is a gin card right here to throw aces, because the aces I had 400. So I remember they cut out 2,400 for me, right? And so then right after that, what a shame, man, because then I know that I knew I was up big, and I was just so focused on that grand at a yo. But getting back to this, this right here, if everyone sees this roll, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So on my 11th roll is when I hit the tall. I was not even thinking about the tall. I was telling this to Wisco, Bump John, because when this 6-4 rolled, I thought they misread the dice. and I was just going to go along with it, thinking like, oh, the 11 hit. Anyway, it was the tall. I had no clue. I didn't even care, but it was nice because, again, $3,000. Thank you very much. $3,000, right? This was just money, 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 money right here in this section, and then continued on with a point for more money, and then more money here. So on this roll, I made over 18 rolls. I think I made $7,500 in this roll. Then we can talk about a comeback story. I was down from earlier. I think I bought in for I don't know.
You bought in for 10,000.
No, I bought in for 8.85, I think.
That's right.
I bought in for 8.5. I remember. This is wrong. Yeah. But point is, on your roll, I made like $7,500, or on this roll. In 18 rolls, I made 7,500, and that was credit to getting those extremes up fast, and that's the goal. It's not. That's the goal. You got to do it anyway. That's Bump John. Let me get rid of this. So, dude, are we going out? Yeah.
Well, what you did there is you were down $1,500 at Palms.
Yeah.
And so when you got up over 10,000, you locked it up, and you just said, "I'm going to play with whatever's left." And I think you had maybe $1,000 left. And so your next roll was, I don't know, something like 8 rolls.
I think so.
9 rolls.
Yeah. Yeah, on the
okay,
yeah, so we called that session how I'd like to call sessions if I'm up, and how we'll always do it is that when I know that I'm done, I will then almost play a hand for the dealers. And it's and whereas the dealers are on everything and I might only be on a few. And that's kind of how we keep even more goodwill going, and hopefully I can run it up. But I've already locked up profit. I'm done mentally, and then everything else is gravy, and it's just like goodwill sauce for the dealers essentially. So yeah, man, that's so that was Durango. I mean, that was Palms, crapless, late night. It was a wonderful I will shoot at that table again. It was a high drop shot, but man, it just felt that stick let me get right in there. So there was no problem. And so the opposite of heat at Palms. Everything's cool. And yes, all of these stories are real, Dice Dingleberry. Dude, his handle, Dice Dingle, thanks for hanging around. Thanks for hanging around. Oh my God. All right, dude. Bump John, what are we doing? I'm gonna talk to Eddie Money, who chimed in, and basically anyone who has the chat link, oh my God, can come on. But listen, man, I'm going to talk to Eddie Money real quick as the people head for the doors. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm heading for the door as well. I got a concert to get to. So
okay, so I'm not going to see you then tonight at the tables.
No, I mean I'll be done with the concert 11:30 midnight. So
all right, cool. Hit me up then, and we can roll out. That'll be optimal. And I'm going to get enjoy your concert. I'm going to get Eddie Money in here and talk to him for a minute, and we're good. All right. Later, Bump John.
Awesome.
And
later.
Go look for your mic too.
I will.
All right. Later. Eddie Money.
Hey, my man.
What's happening? Hopefully we don't have too much of a delay.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, well, people just deal with it, man. So, Jaybird, tonight, if anything, after this, I'm gonna give Ed a call, see where he's at, and hopefully if we can go to I'll go to Palms, most likely. Palms or Paris. One of those. So Eddie Money, man, glad that you could make it in here, dude. And hopefully your chat, hopefully your thing doesn't have too much of a delay on it, because I think it does.
Yeah, it looks like it might be. So hopefully
it's because you're outside in front of the brick wall.
Another brick in the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. Eddie Money, you've got one of the best handles. I love the handles, and I love the Eddie Money little memes we send back and forth to each other, dude.
Yeah, I was messing around with ChatGPT and threw my face on there, and it's been going wild ever since. And I got a couple more lined up for you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I look forward to those. Those are highlights. Eddie Money, I told your story on the podcast of when you came to town and we saw that guy in the Green Bay Packers shirt make $100,000 in a half hour on that guy's roll. So that was a true story, correct? Like everything.
That was a true story. That was my first introduction to working or seeing how craps players behave out in the wild and kind of what we not like to see when players are out there. And so it's very real. It was kind of a very surreal opportunity to see this in front of my face, which was really interesting to see, and definitely something that is not the highlight of a craps player.
Yeah, because I was giving you the sort of the play-by-play of what was going on in my brain when I look at a craps table and when I look at players and just can observe it and sort of be like, you know, pretending you're in the booth. And you're a relatively new player. And did you get Easy E's number? Because he's from your neck of the woods.
I did, and I got a couple others, and so I'm going to connect with them here pretty soon. You know, kids, and I got younger kids, so my son plays soccer, and my daughter's doing some Girl Scout stuff. So my weekends are kind of tied up in some form or fashion. But I try to get out to Vegas every quarter or every 6 months or so to get out there and try to play. But it's been a game that I picked up in the last year and a half, and I've taken it pretty seriously. I would say the last 6 to 8 months, where I follow the podcast pretty closely, and really playing intentionally, not necessarily just, you know, seeing what I can, you know, looking for that jackpot win. It's more of being more intentional about my bets, being more direct with how I play, being strategic, and kind of playing the game within the game, if you will.
Well, hopefully you've learned some stuff just, you know, from the podcast. I think that's Ed's such a good, you know, the conversations, the back and forth with Ed from two different perspectives. I think it could give anyone just a different perspective, but a solid base in playing, or at least spark different ideas for what you're doing. How long have you been playing, and how did you learn?
So I've been playing for about, like I said, 6 to 8 months. And
man, that's, you know, you're a baby, dude.
I'm basically a white canvas. You know, I went to Vegas I'm always with my buddies, and we would always just go play and see what would happen. And we kind of got into the poker for a while, and the poker room started to die. And so we started playing craps, and obviously the allure of the large crowd, everybody, you know, high-fiving, clapping, that kind of stuff. And my buddies and I got on a couple of tables where it was just a hot roll, and, you know, we would always throw out the yo bet just because that sounded cool, but really didn't know what the intent behind it was. And eventually I kind of started delving into it more, and I'm very math-minded for work. And so the numbers really intrigue me. It keeps my interest. It's something that I can kind of be strategic with and think about it. And there's just a million ways to play this game, how to interact with it, how far do you want to go, all those kinds of things. And so, you know, I started, like anybody else, looking at the, you know, how do you play it? What are the strategies? And you start seeing some of these influencers are just throwing, you know, big dollars at the table and seeing what sticks. And that's all clickbait kind of things. And so that's where I came across your guys' channel, and it really interests me. And looking at just how Ed does things, how you guys talk about it, how the game goes. It's really kind of, you guys provide some uniformity and the etiquette that goes with it. There's a lot of unwritten rules that people don't know about, or they don't realize that they're offending people, and the true people that want to play this game that are serious about it, that appreciate it, that really take it to heart.
You mean this, Eddie Money? Don't be one of those, right?
Exactly. Yeah, don't be a ferret.
Yeah, man. Dude, I told this to Birdman. I saw the original ferret at Palms. I never seen the original ferret was normally inhabiting. I thought the basement of the Eiffel Tower over at Paris. That's where I thought the original ferret like lived with his den of ferrets. But I actually saw the original ferret last night at Palms. So I don't know how he crossed the freeway dude, but he made it over there somehow.
A lot of sewers that run across the
yeah, I guess
across the 15.
I guess so. So he made it all the way up there, man. So I don't know. I hope he, didn't lay eggs or something, but
I was
yeah,
either that or they're thriving down in the depths.
It was an omen, man. It was bad. The harbinger of death, dude. So anyway, dude, are you so you started watching a lot of the influencers as for craps. I mean, what do you think? Did you learn anything from it?
I learned that I'm not an lacrosse player. I think that's a great way to get yourself killed or lose your bankroll pretty quickly. And so I kind of started paying attention to how you guys play or the betting progressions. And I think you talked about it earlier in the stream this earlier today, where you were saying that, betting is such an underrated thing for craps players, and learning your betting progressions and what your next move is before it even happens, so that you're not holding up the game, that you're again strategic and surgical versus just holding up the game and throwing money out there and you're not realizing it, and you're have the potential to really ruin a hot roll.
Yeah. Grasshopper says, of all the gaming out there, craps is the only game where you have physical contact with the game and can affect the outcome. 1000%. That's one of the that's yep. One of the only games really that you can really affect it. But this is great. This is great. Dice Dingleberries. Obviously, man, he's a craps connoisseur. He's been following Sean Perry. Seems to know what he's doing. Jay Bird. Perry doesn't know what he's doing, just throws money out. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, again, I don't know how much you can learn from gambling influencers. I just don't know what you can learn from them. I think you
can take it for what it is, which is simply it's entertainment, and that's really what they're thriving for. And so there's a few out there that I watch, and it's more just for entertainment value, but it's not like I'm taking notes or I'm going to use that the next time I play. It's almost as if don't do that type of thing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I hope that maybe more people will get into craps based off of that and discover that it's a cool game versus taking too many bad beats in the beginning and then never wanting to play again. But Advantage Player Workshop, good to see you, dude. Dingle, I'm going to advise you to take the under on Sean Perry's advice. Word to the wise. That probably is the smart advice coming from Advantage Player Craps. Dude, Craps asked their journey. Maybe the original Weasel listens to your show and he heard you talk about the palms. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's actually right. He somehow made his way over there. Just new territory
maybe he went in one of those unmanned vehicles that drive across all around Vegas.
Yeah, or maybe somehow found his way in a food truck and just hopped a ride over to Palms.
There you go.
So yeah, what are you going to do to basically what's your average bankroll that you're getting that you're playing with?
Usually I start off with a $500 to $600 bankroll when I go out. If I go to Vegas
solid, man.
Yeah. I try to then, and I've learned now what a stop loss is. And that was not in my vocabulary. Understanding the discipline that it takes to have that bankroll and realize when to walk away rather than just spewing. And then they take every last dollar from you thinking that you're going to make it back. I mean, you have to really understand that if it's not going your way or the table's not right, it's too choppy, walk away. There's nothing that says you have to stay.
Well, Eddie Money, I think playing with a very small bankroll is incredibly. I've always said this to Ed. I think it's really difficult. I think it's one of the. I have a lot of respect for people that are playing with $600 bankrolls because I think they're very, very difficult to. You don't have a lot of room to maneuver. So your game has to be extremely on point. I used to play with bankrolls of that and less, and it taught me, it it really molded how I played it, and so much so that playing with that kind of bankroll was so unenjoyable for me that it made me go work harder at my day job so I can play with a bigger bankroll, so I had more cushion, because you need cushion in this game. I feel like a larger bankroll allows you to take not necessarily gross across the board risks, but it allows you to take very calculated risks and get some bets up there bigger. But again, hats off to anyone playing with a bankroll of under a grand, because I think those are challenging bankrolls. Oh man, another brick in the wall. Eddie Money.
I
don't know if
I'm here.
Oh no. Oh dude, just lights went out in Georgia. That's okay.
Maybe this is better so I can talk to you and not focus on the audio, or just focus on audio versus
Yeah, no, that's okay, man. If you're here, that's good. We'll stay like this.
Yeah.
Top Preston, I'm sure Bluff has definitely got new players. Yeah, you know what? I would say he has too, and I would agree with you. I see a lot of those guys, in my, like, the valet area. It's Force Valet where I live here, so I see a lot of that crew there. They're affiliated with a guy who backs everyone, who backs all of that. It's yeah, it's a business operation. All right, these aren't just guys going out there doing it for fun. This is there's always a story behind everything.
Yeah, and like I said, I think they have their place in terms of carving out content for themselves. But from a true craps player, the folks that really want to play and really take it seriously, I think those folks are the ones that are really out there, that are trying to, it's self-governing in a sense, that, the folks that they want to make sure. I mean, when I stepped on, and that's when I said earlier, when I thought I had seen Bump John out there, was that there was a guy where, I had, put out a bet, kind of teetering on the point where it was going up, the stick was going to push it out to the player. I think it was after going to Bump John. And the guy next to me was like, hey, get your bets in faster. And that's probably one of the last times that's going to happen, just because I realize now I'm paying attention to speed, and I played sports, even up to this, I play sports now, and I'm a rhythm player, whatever I'm playing. And so I get it. Rhythm is a very key factor in this game, and having that rhythm is very real. Yeah,
Eddie Money. And by the way, I'm going to point with this stick over to that. You got me that hat as a gift. I appreciate it. That's the Albuquerque Isotopes hat.
That's true. Yep. That's my old team.
Let me show off this hat. Dude, look at this hat. This is a great logo. At first blush, you would think this is an Astros hat.
It's not.
It's not. It's an Isotopes hat, inspired by the Astros of Houston.
Actually, no, I take that back. It's inspired by The Simpsons, and there was an episode from The Simpsons where Homer, yes, the Isotopes. So there was an episode, it was called Hungry, Hungry Homer, where Homer, or the Springfield they were going to move the Springfield Isotopes to Albuquerque. And that's where the team got its name, because in New Mexico and Albuquerque, they're very big on the scientific laboratories that are out there. And that's where that came from.
Hey, ETG, what do we do with the spammers in our chat? What do we do with spammers in our chat? This. Why do people have to ruin it, huh? Ban. Goodbye, bro. Oh, wait, I think I got something for that. Goodbye, bro. Perfect. That person was banned. Goodbye, bro. Yep. Yep. That's a shame, man. They got in here.
Like the ferret. It's like a ferret came in here.
Yeah, I know. It's a ferret commenter. I'm sorry, dude. I got a little distracted by that. But yeah, Homer Simpson was
Yeah, so Homer Simpson, he was the in Springfield, they had the baseball team and they were going to move him out of Springfield. And so the writers put in there the Albuquerque Isotopes to change the name. And that's where the team came up with it. And so they came up with that design and the city ran with it. And so it was, for a long time, it was probably one of the top selling minor league baseball teams merchandise.
Oh, cool, man.
Baseball for years. And now they've come out with some cooler stuff now. But
yeah, no, dude, I love this hat. I love this hat. And I want to get a Shuckers hat, man. Cause I was like, I saw that. That's pretty cool.
So the same ownership group that owns the Isotopes also owns the Shuckers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
What a cool coincidence, man.
Yeah.
That the only two minor league baseball teams I'd even talk about, they're the same owners. That's cool, man. It was a cool logo on their mascot and cool logo design. I like it.
Yeah. Yep,
so
exactly.
Jaybird was asking who's spamming and which chat. I don't know because I'm looking at one whole chat, but they've been removed.
Exterminated.
Oh, and then this is Anime Soldier. Anime. Love anime. Big AZ shows real craps games with Roll Tracker. That's true. That's from what I heard. And shout out Big AZ. I've never met Big AZ. I know I've only met one person from that plays in that crew. I would like to meet all those guys.
You know, 10-ton, coming from New Mexico and Albuquerque, I don't know if we have any, members that are from the Albuquerque area or New Mexico, but they have a huge Indian casino group out in Albuquerque. I want to say within the city limits, there's probably
really
5 casinos within 20 minutes. And I could just off the top, because I didn't play craps when I lived out there, but I want to say they had Sandia Casino, which was like 10 minutes north of the city, has, I want to say, 4 tables.
Yeah.
The Route 66 Casino had 2 tables. I know Isleta Casino, which is south, had 3 tables. And then there's a couple others all sprinkled throughout the city that had tables as well. So I know there's a pretty big craps contingent in Albuquerque. I wish I had played it before I moved away. But I go back there pretty frequently. So the next time I go back to Albuquerque, I'll definitely give you some intel on the tables.
I played Albuquerque. It was called like the Golden Corral or something. I played a club there. And that was a wake-up call for me a long time ago. I had never seen so many like drunk, like passed out drunk people just outside the bar. No, I mean, it was like more so is like not like wasted like college town.
No.
Like drunk. It was like sad drunk.
Like down and out.
Like down and out. And it was is one of those, it's like when you visit a city, one of those things that you'll always remember. Kind of like when I was saying I was up and I'd never, on a college game day, I'd never woke up and seen so much red.
Right.
Right. And then shout out Old Bay Craps. I can't believe Old Bay's still in the house, man. And it's East Coast time. Listen, Big AZ, one of the most down-to-earth people. And then Old Bay Craps said he'd love Lauren, real down-to-earth guy. Old Bay Craps, I like any guy that has a name that Lauren, it's like almost like a girl's name, like Fran is almost like a girl's name. I always notice it's like Adrian, Yo, Adrian. Old Bay does not sleep. Old Bay's going to be on the show. I want to talk to him about what their topic, which I loved on that podcast, Full of Chips podcast. Jaybird asked, hey, is the red phone in the background the bat phone? No, dude, that is Dice Coach. That phone is reserved especially for Dice Coach dialing in. That's the Dice Coach hotline. All right.
Does it light up?
No, but I like how it has casino, like that has a neon light on the side of it. I don't know if you can see it. It's pretty sweet how that lights up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So So Eddie Money, man, listen, dude, I am, when are you going to be out here next? Because it's about time for me to head off into the wonderful world of Vegas nightlife and playing craps.
I don't have any trips set up just yet, but I think maybe we might planning one maybe in May, perhaps. I'll let you know, and we'll have to get out there. It seems like we connect, and then we just can't get on the table together. But we'll definitely I go out there pretty frequently, so our paths will cross again soon.
Yeah, like keep me up to date on all that stuff, and when we'll go check out a table, dude. Tugboat. Oh God. If that's your handle, I love that handle, Tugboat. What kind of music do you listen to? Everything, literally everything. You name it.
I thought it was cool when he started talking to ETG about Eddie Money, because not like he didn't know what it was, but Ed was like, "That was my old school jam. Those are my jams."
Yeah. Well, I mean, today in the studio, what did we listen to? Actually listened to some old school Prince, and then and we listened to some Alice in Chains, I think, some Pink Floyd maybe earlier. We listened to a lot of stuff. It's all over the place.
That's cool, man.
And we did. We listened to Eddie Money one time when you're, we jammed out to that for a minute. Dude, listen, I'm glad that you're learning the game. If your camera came on, you'd be on, but I'm just taking advantage of this full screen here so people can see Vegas. But yeah, Eddie Money, let me know when you're out here. Thanks for coming on it. And, just keep practicing, playing with discipline.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, no, like I said, everybody that you put me in contact with on the chat I've talked to some folks already and reached out. So starting to establish some folks out here that live in the SoCal area, and hopefully, it can beat up some more folks eventually going out to Vegas soon.
Yeah, well, and Todd Bresson, I think, man, Todd, this isn't T-Bone, Todd. I don't know if this is. Sometimes I only know handles a lot of time, but yeah, thank you. We do have some good episodes coming up. My goal is to really do a lot of player profiles. I think grow the community this way, and it just brings some people together, like bringing like minds together. The ones approaching the game and more in, I guess, with more or less a loose plan or a plan of attack. I can only talk how Ed goes down and plays it like that. Like he's going there with a certain mindset. I go with a certain mindset. It's the times when I don't have that mindset or when I slip up, like last night. It's a process of learning. I should have left earlier last night. Instead, I stuck around and I lost money. I didn't even shoot. Like golden rules. You always end up breaking golden rules. It seems like you break them less and less your journey through craps. But hopefully we can connect some other people and some other areas. And I'm just a curious person. I like to hear about other areas, because I've traveled to, so many of these states when I was a musician and touring. So, hearing about Madison and hearing about that area, and then Seattle, obviously I was there so many times. Okay. So T-Bone was, so sorry, Todd, if I got that wrong. I'm a handles guy. I oftentimes forget names, but I'm going to have a bunch of these, I'm going to have T-Bone on. I'm going to have these guys up from Seattle on again. I think Craig and Double Deuce on. I really just want to, Tampa, that's next up. So obviously going to get Old Bay and Dice Degen on. We can talk about their podcast, but I also want to talk about the ATS with John. So I'm going to have as many of these conversations as possible. I think it's important. I think it's good for people to meet each other. And, this is, again, this whole podcast started really mostly because I had nothing to learn from. And so I was always in search of trying to have these conversations, like especially the ones you have when you find someone like Bump John that you can have a conversation with about a dice hand and a session during that. Dude, that's gold. You can actually, again, my opinion, but I know you can make money from that. And that is where I would say that this is advantage play. And my play has evolved into, as I've been able to more so turn Vegas into my favor, which is in playing in certain houses or certain pits where I can raise limits or be at that level of a player where then the people around me can benefit because they can play at whatever limit. But I mean, the benefit is getting the dice, shooting with another person, and you're not waiting around. Unfortunately, a lot of players across the country are stuck with 2 tables in a casino packed. Here, massive advantage of being able to do it so you can actually win at craps. And yeah, I mean, yesterday was my first actual technical losing session in over a month. So, you know, I have people that don't think I win. I don't talk about every single win, but I mean, all you have to do is go out with me and you'll see it and you'll understand. I get like just no tall tales here. I mean, anyone that's played with me gets it and they know it. I think it's important to just be, I think, you know, mentioning the other gambling influencers, I think it's really important to be a credible one, or a credible if you ever get there. I mean, I look at the guys that are out there, they're just basically, it's like Vegas Matt for craps, or it's basically slots. It's the same thing. You can just replace craps with slots with anything else. To me, that's the same thing. I don't think like there's much besides the entertainment value. And I understand that there is nothing else that you're going to, in my opinion, that you could get from that. I think you can find more obviously just on YouTube, as long as you're customizing it and, you know, trying to like piece together your own style, but nothing replaces live play. Nothing replaces live play. That's how you really can go up. You know, if you're plateaued, you have to just keep playing live. So it's the people like Wisco, great talking to Wisco, the people up in Seattle. And I want to talk to these guys that keep going in their areas. There's always a different player type. I feel like in some ways you're playing handicapped in a way, because out here is so favorable. So I'm interested in how you're going to get by those, you know, roadblocks while you're playing. But thank you, man. Live shows are top. I'm, just trying to have some good conversations about it, about playing. My home casino has 1 table open and it's packed. Oh, dude, that's Sen 8. See, I know Carlos is Sen 8. Yeah, man, I can't imagine. I was miserable last night at Palms. I was absolutely miserable. And I went up to the floor and I'm like, can you raise this? And he's like, how high? I'm like 100. And he's like, the highest I can raise this is 25. I'm sorry, because they had a crew call in sick. So they only have 3 tables. So in some ways, and again, it was earlier than I normally go, so it makes it even tougher to put these conditions in your favor when you can. And I do think that you can manipulate this tables, if you can, into your favor. And this brings up another point as I'm rambling on. For the people like, let's say in Seattle, if they do get a table and they do get a private reserve table, what you should do, in my opinion, if I was going to run it, I'd be whoever's shooting, like give that person, like have an agreement to pass a dice back to them like 3 times. And then you actually feel like you can actually duplicate or replicate a home table experience. I don't think people do that enough. I make it a point to do it. I think it's important. And instead of waiting, hey, great, I'm going to play a reserve table with all my buddies. Sweet, I just had a 3 roller. Now I have to wait another hour and a half. That's miserable. If you're going to have your own table, and I don't know if Ian does that, or because I know he runs that stuff up there with Craig. If you aren't, that would be the thing to do. You should probably implement that. Like, hey, listen, we're going to pass the dice. Since this table's ours, we're going to pass the dice, get in a groove, and hopefully someone catches something. That's more than plenty. 3 strikes, you're out. Move on to the next guy. I think everyone will be happy. I think that's how you should run any table. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to run our table at Palms for the experience that way. I wish we could. I think it would be better for everyone. It's just tougher. It's easier to do when you have a table and there's a couple people and you've got it cranked up at a high limit. So, Sene said, but I did talk to Pit Boss and they said they are hiring more dealers. So Crapless will be open every day instead of the weekends. Yeah, you can, I mean, more tables are better. I think this is Pearl's Girl. What's happening, Pearl's Girl? And so anyway, Eddie Money, you still there?
I'm here, my man. I'm listening to you.
Nice, man. You're like a ghost in the house. I know you don't have your camera on, but listen, dude, thanks a lot for coming out, for joining the the live stream.
No, thanks for having me on.
Skill and luck, man. What's up? Yes, Pearl's Girl. Nice.
Like I said, it's very cool to be welcome as a newer player. And I know a lot of the folks, you see a lot of the names that are pretty consistent on the chat and that kind of call into the show, but it's pretty cool to be able to communicate with you guys and, be able to share or bounce ideas or take a lot of information that you guys have put out there and put it to use and take what you feel works best for you and your situation and how it all plays together in your game.
Eddie Money. The only way you're going to learn this game is what I wish I had. I wish I had this when I was learning, because my way of learning was going up to the old floor guy and inviting him out for drinks. So he would give me some sort of pearls of wisdom, because my thought process there was, hey, this guy's seen 1 billion rolls for 1 billion years. There's got to be something. What has consistently made money? Out of the roles you've seen, what's been similar? What's been the common factors in these big paydays? Not only the long rolls, but how specifically betting. And I think I did mention this on a podcast. This guy took me out. It was at the Venetian so long ago, and at the bar there, and he wrote down on a paper all the progressions for all the box numbers. And that's, I'll never forget that moment. So, and yes, Eddie Money, great handle, says advantage player works out. It is. Shaking. Yeah, man. That's good. Yeah, you should. Yeah. Good idea. I'll be at Ian's house on Sunday. I'll talk to him. I think it's worth experimenting, man. And everyone will feel like, hey, I just think it gets people into a groove. It turns a table into more your home table when you're doing it. Skill and luck. What did I learn from what? From I don't know if you're talking to me, but if it was from taking out the old floor guys, literally they were always the old guys, because I figured they'd been doing this for years. It was more so that the common thing was place bets, get your numbers up. And it's kind of been the cornerstone of where I don't go across. But I mean, the goal is to get these things up, get them up fast, and that's where you're going to make the money. I've also incorporated, obviously, I play the ATS like no one else plays it, and I play that as a quasi place bet that develops. It's like a long-term developing bet, but it's a big payday, man. And if you know how to work that with up against lays, it can be a really, really dangerous tool in an arsenal. And again, there's a million ways to play the game. Not saying my way is right, but my way is definitely unique. And it definitely, I feel like, you just got to play. You just got to be at a table and we'll go do it. But yeah, that's what I learned.
Ten, I know you're going to jump off here, but one of the things I would tell you that I've learned that it's really, really, I've taken away, and there's two things. One thing that Ed said was this is a game of 6, 7, and 8. Those are the common numbers. So that's where I start out at when I start playing. The other thing that I've learned recently, and that is for newer players, is if you have a brain fart, you don't know, you forget what your progression is. It's take me down, up one, same bet. Those are those two things right there have saved me immensely. Or that's where I start off as bet the 6 and 8.
Yeah.
And go from there and then bet what's hitting after that.
Yeah. Casting Set TV 777 says people have to lose to learn then next time I'm ready, Papa. Nope, 7 out. I mean, I think losing how to learn is a big part of this game, and it's something that isn't talked about enough. It's something that I personally think why I'm really respected in Vegas and all of these pits is that they have seen me lose and carry myself. It's something that's not. It's a very difficult thing. Winning is so easy. But I lose. You have to lose gracefully. It is a tough, bitter pill to swallow when you lose at a craps table, and especially when you're felted and you're shaking someone's hand, shaking the floor's hand, and telling those dealers to thank you. It is a very difficult thing to do. When you can do that, I think you kind of know people in Vegas respect that. There's a lot of people that don't know how to lose gracefully. It's not fun to lose, but a lot of times you can, be mad while you're walking out. I think the best thing to do, I'm telling you, that will get you a lot of respect in this town. If you're going to be a craps player, it's really difficult to lose. So learning that is important. Let me just check this chat. Odds fellow, never knew how you tracked your dice during a toss. Oh yeah, that is gold. It is gold. It's gold if you can go with someone. It is gold to have someone that I personally don't like to track, so I'm spoiled because Bump John is part of his ritual. I mean, you can get a lot of data from that. Skill and luck, dude. Thanks. This is my first time catching live. Oh man, I wish you. Hopefully, you can watch that Wisco conversation we had because it was really great. And then I don't know where Double Deuce is tonight, man, but I've got his hat right here. Hopefully, he'll send me a Seahawk one, and then I'll wear it. It's spelled 777. Embrace it. 61. Never bother you again. I'll try. All right. Listen, Eddie Money.
Yes, sir.
It's been a pleasure having you floating around.
Thanks for having me.
All right, dude. I'll see you next time you come to Vegas. Let me know if you ever need anything. Okay.
I appreciate it. Likewise, and I'll have to maybe I'll get you a Isotope sweatshirt when I see you next.
Hell yeah! Thanks, man.
All right, go Topes, my friend. Take it easy.
Yeah. All right, later. Everyone that's in chat, appreciate it so much for sticking around. I know, this is definitely for the people that like craps that have stuck around this long. Totally appreciate it. I think we're gonna call it, and we're gonna go probably play Palms or Paris. Let's do this.